right, here we go, guys. It has been a week for me last week, dude. I have been moving, and it has been freaking crazy. Moving with 4 kids, do not recommend. And it's been something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, but it's definitely been very stressful. And so I'm glad that I'm back in the seat today. Super pumped about it today. And of course, we got Shasan in the building. What's up, Dottie? Woof, woof, baby. We have a lot of things to talk about today. I've been really just like contemplating on a lot of things, and really about a lot of the drama that was kind of happening last week with the fellows, like a lot of my friends and stuff like that, which I find everybody that was currently in that specific drama friends, except Kagi, of course. But like in terms of that stuff, it was like really sad to see on a lot of things. But there was a topic that kind of came out of all of that I wanted to kind of break down to anybody. If people have questions on things, definitely let me know. But I for sure want to have a conversation around like the performance enhancing tools that we have in crypto to really make people feel as if there's like more engagement than there actually is inside of crypto. Twitter, crypto specific like culture, all that good stuff. And so that is what I'm going to be talking about today. But we are going to kick it off with just kind of a preview of what we're going to be doing today. Apologies on like the kind of like delay. I've been just feel like I'm kind of like in a stuck kind of like rut, to be honest. Last week, for people that don't know, I was like in the middle of like a move. And so it was just a lot of, it was just a lot, to be honest. And even now I'm feeling just yuck in terms of like a point where I'm just feeling, I don't know, just in a kind of a rut that I'm trying to get out of. And I know Alpha Wolves always is that way to do it. And so that's why I also kind of got myself to be the first person that's on that block. Usually I have 4 people and it's really great to have it, but I need to be able to like knock off the rust and kind of get back into the zone and chat with the fellow wolves in the building though. So really excited about it. Thank you, Shasan, for showing up. Hopefully all my audio and everything like that is good. I have not moved yet from this area to my next place, but we are going to get started with this. So without further ado, though, this is going to be the set for today. We have myself. I'm going to be talking about really the journey of my specific marketing prowess from like 2021 all the way till now. And really as a creator, as well as a person that's behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that I want to get to. And Shasan will kind of point to a lot of the learnings that we had at Azra as well too. But then right after following me, we have R3ACH, Captain CK. I'm really excited about him because it's about the topic that I am going to be talking about, kind of giving my monologue per se. And then there's Tony V, as we say, Glitter Cloud Solutions. He has been a friend, a mentor, and also somebody that I've worked with alongside at Shrapnel. And so there's a lot of lessons to be had, a lot of discussions to be had in that one. For what we've done, but I also want to kind of give him some time to highlight on what he's been building. And then we also have Loaf, which is LordOfAFew for the Twitter handle there. And he's building Daydreams, but he's also built Cartridge. He's been on on-chain gaming for a long time. So I want to pick his brain on on-chain gaming, but also X402, where he's been kind of building in that area for a long time. And so I'm really excited to talk about that. We are going to be going into all of it here shortly. But first and foremost, there is a topic that I need to talk about today, which for people that want to know, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of drama on the timeline for like some of my friends. It was like Spike, Jonah, and all that stuff, which I find both of them friends. And, you know, sometimes like, do you do it for engagement? Do you do it all that stuff? Probably. Some of it is like, you know, the drama kind of causes like attention in which that kind of creates a light on what they're doing, which Jonah's killing it with not Sploot now, which is, I think it's live. I don't want to mess it up. So one second. Jonah is currently doing Live Frame, which is a really cool, like, AI specific clipping platform that he's been building. So I'm really excited to just kind of see how he's developing that. And so I just respect him a lot as like a builder, as a creator. And I've just watched his journey throughout the years. Whenever I was founding Wolves, when he was doing Real Agency, a lot of our specific pipeline has been together, right? And not together as in like we've been teammates, but we've been building on parallel paths in a lot of ways. And so he had a comment on this. 1 second, guys. Sorry, I'm like still also just getting my all of my things together. And one of the things that he also talked about was the ability to really spot like any type of like metrics or fake engagement for this. Man, I am all over the place, guys. Apologies, guys. Let me get it too. For the sunlit chick, whatever guy's name is, no, thank you. I'm good. For people, like there's a lot of people. I'm like streaming on Kick. I'm like streaming on Twitch. I'm streaming on like all the platforms. Just trying to figure out which platform like I want to kind of like stay in and the community to hang out in. I think a lot of people voted on that specific thing is like YouTube being the main area for it. But anyways, we're gonna get to it, and we're also cut all of this beginning part off as well too. So let's get to the topic of discussion. What's up, Sky? Let's get to the topic of discussions of like what are we actually talking about when it comes to like the performing enhanced era of reach, and this is just worldwide, right? This is not just in crypto Twitter, but there are nuances to the performance enhancing era and tools for crypto Twitter, for X, and for Twitch, and for YouTube, and a whole bunch of other things that I want to talk about. And I really want to kind of talk about this and then also talk to CK as well, because he's also been in the trenches since 2021, just doing marketing and being around there. And so for people that don't know, I've been on both sides of like all of this. Thank you, V. You gotta love the jacket, dude. I need to get you one in the Philippines. I'll try to find a way to be able to get it for you. And then I'll get you one of these, brother. I appreciate you, V. You've been freaking crushing it on the clips. So let's talk about this, right? So natty or not is kind of what the title I have for this. And I've been working on an article here about the performance enhancing era of reach. So I've been on both sides of a lot of this, right? So I've been a creator. I've scaled up to like 7K on YouTube, 17K on X, and then also have built Wolves X account to 60K. And then before that, I've also worked on the company side for like Azra, Champions, and a whole bunch of things. So for Azra, I helped build out their specific social media where I did like a lot of giveaways. I found out about AlphaBot, whole thing with Shasan, grew those specific socials to, 30, 50K and above. Went over to Champions, did that, but also did Steam. I did Epic. I did a whole bunch of things with Prime Gaming, and then went into Shrapnel to help with operations and that side of things. So like I've paid creators, I've like been running brands, I've been paid by companies to be able to do that. So I've been like chasing metrics on both sides. So like looking good on paper is like really important. When you've ever seen like millions of fake impressions though, like you're kind of figure out like you kind of have a signal right now, just like what performs, but also like you start really asking like what's real. Like most brands have like no idea that they're like paying for fake metrics. And that's like a really big issue with a lot of this, right? So marketers spend like millions of dollars on content creators who can't like really move a soul. The numbers look real, but like the motion isn't, right? As the kids would say, like the motion is like a really big deal. And so that's something that like I really want to kind of dig in today, is that before projects like point fingers to, this is something that's like really important to me, is that when it comes to pointing fingers at creators for like faking engagement or doing all of that stuff, projects also do it too. So like there's no one like really, I should say, safe from this like judgmental tone. And I'm not even trying to be judgmental on this. I'm just trying to do, what I'm trying to do is trying to educate people. I'm trying to educate retail people to understand that whenever they're following a creator, that if they have a lot of like quote unquote reach, that might not be organic reach, right? And then the other side of things is like, I want marketers and founders to know that, to have like, I guess their signals up and the red flags up, that whenever they're talking to somebody and they're saying impressions, likes, reposts, comments, that not all of it is real, not all of it is organic. And that's really important for people to understand, because it hurts a lot of people too, because they're spending a lot of their money and capital. And that's what a lot of projects want to do. They want to be able to make sure that they have capital, so gaining capital through revenue, but also spending that capital very well and very respectfully to the people to be able to produce revenue for the company. It's a flywheel, and you're trying to push $1 in to get like $5 out at the best, right? And so what I'm wanting to do before I like push forward on any of this is that creators are guilty of this, but so are projects. And projects are guilty, just to be like very pointed. We're not dumb. So like projects do this by like points, leaderboards, Kaido specific things that in which that you push like, points or leaderboards using signaling that a token is going to happen to be able to make money, to be able to then show to centralized exchanges or investors that your project has enough traction to kind of keep it going. I've been kind of out of the platform, or I've been out of like working for like the foundation side of things for like the tokens and all that stuff for a while now. So like understanding the tokens and how centralized exchanges actually get people on platforms is like very like sometimes corrupt per se. And it's just kind of always a moving target. And what I mean by this is that tokens are not automatically published on like centralized exchanges. There are centralized exchanges that, are usually pretty much just a publishing agent for tokens that gets a whole bunch of volume, and those fees are included into it, but then the exposure goes to the project. And so it's very difficult to like pass that up. And so a lot of projects do what it's necessary, kind of like a checklist of things that would get you on a centralized exchange or get you to be able to raise for a VC round. And how they do that is manipulation through like points, leaderboards, and pretty much saying like, hey, there's going to be a token airdrop for things. And so, yeah, very important. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm trying to land this plane and be more like concise, especially like for the clipping guys. I really apologize, V, Zoe, and edits. I'm trying to be a lot more concise with the way that I'm speaking. But V says here too, like for real, like some accounts that has like over 100K, 200K, yet their impressions barely reach 1K. I would agree with that too. Like V, that there is a lot of people that have botted their specific engagement or have botted their followership, and it just doesn't really work well. But what I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of people that, hey Julia, what's up? There's a lot of people that just straight up bought their specific following, right? And I think that's a big issue when it comes to crypto Twitter, because you don't know what's real and what's like not. It's like in a lot of ways, like we're kind of in an era that you don't know on X if like you're dealing with real attention and real conviction. And it becomes an issue, right? And so what I want to kind of go into is like understanding like what the levels of like juiced ecosystem is. And so like there's a lot of people that do engagement by a lot of different ways, right? So one of them is just like blatantly like botting your posts. So you pay a service and you get followers, as well as you bought specific likes or reposts or comments. Like why do people do that is because usually the nature of that platform encourages it. Like you see it very prevalent inside of like Twitch and Kick. Like literally inside of like this chat right now, there's somebody that's trying to sell me on it, right? I can't put it up here, but it's like a Sun Lee Chair B Bev. Would you like many viewers? Let's make you popular. And it's like a bot service in which that like you get bots to come to your channel that will then push you up in terms of the discoverability, because the only thing to play up in that specific standard. And usually how people kind of guard against that is that, hey, there's a lot of people chatting inside of their Discord for the ratio of like likes, or not likes, but people that are viewing. And so the juiced ecosystem isn't contained to like crypto Twitter as well, but it's also prevalent in like everywhere else when it comes to live streaming, right? Twitch, Kick, any of those. There's a huge bot problem. And if you look it up on YouTube, there's a lot of like really good things to explain a little bit more of like the nuanced take of how it is. And, we've also built our own systems to be able to do that for crypto Twitter as well too. So I think understanding and explaining to the founders and marketers of like how people juice their ecosystem to increase viewership and all that stuff, it's like super, super cool. What's up, IC? I want to give a shout out real quick to everybody. We're chilling out before CK is up. CK is not coming for a little bit, but fun fact, I gave Peyton my OpenSea hat, and he hasn't worn it once, but the orange hat looks fuego. IC Bot Gaming. But yeah, man, IC, we're talking about really just like the bot and engagement stuff. Like over the weekend, I hit you and Sam up, was like, what happened over like the weekend in terms of like all this drama. And one of the topics that I really just kind of wanted to expand upon was the botted and fake engagement. And I think a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh, does X, Y, and Z person bought their thing? And I think the first thing that they go to is like they're paying a service to be able to pump numbers that are completely artificial, right? And I think that's like something, there's like levels to fake engagement. And I would even say that like there's levels, but then there's also gray area for engagement, right? So that on the top end, you have fake engagement for like bots, which like you pay a service, they boost your post, they like, they repost, they comment. The next one is like there's like alpha bot. So you have like a carrot that somebody usually gives to you. That's usually through like a collab manager or whatever. So you have a whitelist, you have a giveaway that has a speculational value in which that you now have a carrot in your hand as a creator or a community manager to go in and push it to a giveaway for the community to do your bidding. And usually AlphaBot has ways in which that you can say like a post, repost, have to follow this account, etc. So it has a perception of motion, but the carrot is there. The carrot is there, and they're not really doing it for the like of your project. They're doing it mostly for the fact that you are able to get the possibility to earn something that could have value in which that you can sell and that you can flip. So that's like another layer. The next one is like engage. Actually, before I go into engage, because engage is used very differently within different people, and I don't feel like that's the gray area. InfoFi is very much like a mercenary type of thing. It's like, hey, there's a bounty in which that like you can go in and you can do this. But a lot of the problem is that it does attention, but then it doesn't provide conviction, which I'll go to in a little bit later. But it's just very mercenary, right? Bounties were really big in 2021 and 2022. And to be honest, I would like that era back than we are now, because currently InfoFi is like, it's all about being first. It's all about attention. So you get like reply spamming into very popular posts so they can get impressions on that. And then that impression leads to, you know, a higher form of leaderboard in which that they get paid out more. So it's just all mercenary. And whenever we talk to CK a little bit later today, one of the two things that he says is like crypto Twitter either wants money or wants status. And so a lot of the things that work in it, like Kaido or InfoFi, is usually off of money. There's like a lot of people in like third world countries that money can go a long way for like, you know, their weeks or their supplies. And so what they do is they grind out. That is their work. That is their job, to be able to grind out, because a lot of these payments are paid out in either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or USD stables, in which that is a lot more stable and a lot more, it goes a lot longer, a lot of ways in the area that they live than it would be like in like the US, for example, right? And then the last one is like the engage / arcane, the like gamified version. Why I think this is more of a gray area is that you earn soft currency within the community to unlock rewards. And usually how you gain soft currency is through liking or commenting or doing whatever to pump a creator's post. And why I think this is a gray area is that the creator still has to create the community to be able to do this. Is that like the people that are InfoFi or the people that have like AlphaBot, they are not doing something. They're not creating a community in which that like you can then put in a mechanism to have a soft currency to unlock rewards like a shop item. So how a lot of people do it is that they have soft currency within their community, and then that community member wants to earn that soft currency because they like the creator or they just want a reward in the shop, and they go and do the thing that the creator or the community manager has said to do, like, you know, like a post or repost or comment or whatever. And then they unlock rewards, which sometimes it is stables. It's whatever that specific community manager or creator puts in the shop to be able to do it. So there is like incentivized specific mechanisms in which that you can have. But Engage probably has the widest spectrum in which that like you can actually juice specific numbers. Why do I say all of this? You have to understand, if you're a marketer or if you are somebody that's operating and spending budget for people, you have to be very careful on the way that you're spending, because you're usually spending mostly for attention and fake engagement or perception of motion and you make decisions on that perception, right? Because I've been on the back ends. You tell your people on the you tell your people inside of like the deck that like, hey, we're getting this many impressions, we're getting this many likes, we're getting this many posts, and people are making educated decisions based off of their past experiences of like, wow, in my experience, which a lot of these guys are like boomers, all right? The people that are founders and stuff, they're like Gen Xers and above. And what I mean by that is that they're on a perceived notion that like those impressions and likes and things are much more like impressive than what they've seen in the past. And so they should proceed on with the direction that they're going or double down on it, which then gets into the point where you have all of these creators that are really good at creating attention and perceived attention, but there's actually no conviction. So this leads me to my second like specific point of like perception as well as conviction. And so, or not perception, but like attention versus conviction. You need both to be able to create a very good like creator campaign. Like you need like attention, you do need buzz, you need like also presence. So there's kind of like three areas. There's presence, there's attention, so like really spikes of attention, and then there is also conviction. So people that are trusted voices in the space actually believe in the project and the product and all that stuff to really move markets and move like a mint. That's really what you want. And there's three different types of ways in which that you can do that. Like perception, or perception, not persistence, is mostly like what you're doing with like ICOBs, like with Vo, with Coop, with Icy, with Gaming Daily, with Sam, with Gamified, is that they just hear that name and people have like this type of like brand around a creator or person that's really going to push that for a long time to be able to be like, okay, this person has been here for a very long time. Attention is where everyone pretty much puts all of their money into, and it's pretty much goes to crap. And the reason why is because of all of those specific tactics that I said. Usually the budget goes to a creator, and you pay for that creator to then go and do either botted engagement, just paying a service, either running a specific campaign with an alpha bot to do a push to make them feel as if you're getting a lot of value from them. And I want to back up here. Like the value is still there. It's just numbers and it's vanity. It's not going very hard on like conviction of like, hey, does this actually produce revenue for the company and where I'm trying to go to? And usually that category of attention and moving specific people to purchase comes from the last one, which is like conviction. So like trusted voices in which that person says something, are they going to listen and are they going to purchase? And there's like usually a pretty clear distinction between people that are attention and people that are conviction. And sometimes there are both, but it's not usually the case. Like ICOBs, like Ansem, all those specific people have attention as well as conviction, that if somebody says something about something, they are doing it. And usually it's based off of like perceived experience or how they've performed in the past of making people money, which goes back to CK's thing of you either in crypto make people money or you help them get status. And it's really pretty black and white. And it's unfortunate because that's what I'm going to talk to CK about today. It is unfortunate that those are the only two categories that like seems to be working in crypto Twitter, which is, hey, how can I make money with the least amount of effort? Or how can I get status of like being right for it, right? There is a lot of like Kevin Lambert's, he was talking about the different types of personas in, the like Web3 gaming sphere. And I think one thing that I disagreed with him on was that he said that people just like want to make money. And I think it's not even so much about making money, but I also think it's about the perception of them being right, right? And so it's like really important for a lot of crypto Twitter. I completely forgot to repost on my Twitter. Dude, I am so out of it today. Thank you guys for being patient with me. 1 second, guys. Yeah, Icy, I do pay you to be here. Thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Icy's saying that I pay him to come to my streams, and I do. I do pay him to come to my streams. Pay him with friendship and time, and a lot of it. So, 1 second, guys. I just want to make sure I'm on time as well too. All right, so we still have some time before that, but yeah. So to wrap this thing, because I'm like struggling to get past this segment. When it comes down to it, is that there's a lot of people that have the perception of like motion, but they do not actually. A lot of it just is that they have attention, and attention does not actually generate like revenue for it, right? Do I have a link or for that video? It's not so much a link for the video; it's a link for the his thing. 1 second. Second B. Yeah, so Kevin Lambert has a article pinned up at the top. It says like after slow cooking this article, it says understanding the Web3 gaming market, Billy, Vinny, and Chad. And the way that he talks about it is that Billy is like the person that has intrinsic motivation to be able to like really do anything that like they want to do. So like they play the games just for the game's sake, for entertainment purely. For Vinny is a person that's purely going to be a person that extractive, right? So just Billy's in it for the fun. Vinny is in it for show me the money. So the only person is like, hey, the only type of thing is show me the money. And in my opinion, Vinny is the crypto Twitter persona. Is like, hey, I want to make as much money as possible. But I disagreed with him for his fact that I don't think it's just money. I think it's the status. So the perception that like somebody is like right. And I actually told him that I actually don't think that a creator or a community member, and I've seen this inside of Wolves as well too. It's the person that like did not actually have a lot of conviction in the project, but they have like said something, right? So the status, and we see this also on X. So I'll give you 2 examples. One on X is because probably the most prevalent, that whenever you're scrolling on X, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about, is that it's a person that quote reposts their own call like a couple months ago. And those people produce status for their brand. It's like, hey, I'm right. You should listen to me moving forward, right? And so that's one of those things that like it produces, is this feeling that this person's always right. The next thing that they say, I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to listen to what they have to say, in which that I am giving them some agency over my decision making, right? That is something that's really big for crypto Twitter. And whenever we're talking about Vinny here, is that Kevin only talked about money. And money, in my opinion, this is a hot take. I think money is not the primary currency in which that people want from crypto Twitter. I actually think it's status. I think it's people feeling as if they need to be right for it, and they need to be right on a public specific sphere. This is why social cards are so important, and we're going to talk to CK about that. We're going to talk about different types of mechanisms in which that people get status. And I think the other thing that I will say about status is that like you see it from the community level as well too. So every community has such a unique dynamic. For Wolves, like you have a group of people that are very like intelligent and the way that they put their theses out there, right? And there are also a lot of people that gloat for that thesis, mostly for the fact that it is what they are. Like I think a lot of people want to be right in front of their friends and a lot of their colleagues, and they want to exert power over somebody else by saying that they are right. And I think that's the difficult part of like community specific drive, is like, especially like leading Wolves. It's like Wolves are always like people that bring up theses and then always like point back on it. But on a long time horizon, you find the people that are actually like very smart. And then a lot of people give agency over that person to make decision making for them. There's like some good people that are like really good at TA. Over a long period of time, they are right. And that's why people follow their next decision. Like Benjamin Cowan, a lot of people give him a lot of power over that guy because he's been right on calling Bitcoin dominance for a long time. And he just like calls what the chart says. And then like, that's it. Really good in terms of commentary, right? And I think when it comes down to what we don't get in crypto Twitter is like the conviction, which is like how much money that person put in. So that person can be right with 1 token or 1,000 tokens. But it doesn't matter to them because if it doesn't matter to them if they have 1 token or 1,000 tokens, it's because they're right. And they're right in front of their colleagues, which means that they can gloat, they can have fun and all that stuff. So, yeah, in terms of like V, what you're kind of talking about, I think that's a different dynamic as well too. So like, what's up, AE? How you doing, brother? Wolf, episode 7. You know, V, you said it does check out, especially within the last week. People are calling out other people on posts instead of talking things with their DMs. I think unfortunately, like once you get to a certain like level as like a creator, you also like know that like negative news sells and drama sells, and so like you have like a lot of attention. And I think that's just what it comes down to, is that like on a public sphere, I like doing my stuff through DMs. I like checking on people. I like seeing how they do it. But like I'm also not that big of a creator compared to like others because I'm not willing to do that. And even when I comment on something, it's usually in a very like arbitrary lesson type of way, right? This is probably the most direct I've been, which is like, hey, there's something that happened over the weekend. They had a whole bunch of beef and a whole bunch of drama, but I wanted to narrow down on something that was a nugget in all of that, which is like, how actually do you tell if somebody's like botting or engagement farming like their audience to be able to produce the perception that they have more motion than they actually do? Because at the end of the day, it's not so much, at the end of the day, what a builder and what a project wants is that, is somebody going to be moved to be able to buy the thing that I'm currently trying to sell? And, you know, those 3 are like a really big thing. Which one is like your constant presence in the space goes a long way, especially like being loyal and being around is really good. That's like the founder funnel that is pairing with people that are going to be advocates, so like ambassadors for yours. Second is the like attention. You do need spikes of attention to be able to get people to see on a broader audience. And then third, when people are starting to do their due diligence, is there conviction on it by a trusted agent or a trusted space? It's usually working with different types of people that will push them over the edge, that like, hey, this person worked for them. Think of it like as a leading investor on like a round for like investing, right? Like if A16Z leads around, it's very different from, you know, mama pop shop VC firm that hasn't made like a big specific mark on like the venture capital space. So you have a higher likelihood of success if that person's attached to the project. And that's the same thing. That's why like the graphics for like advisors or FOMO kind of kicks in, is because what you're doing is that like, hey, I probably don't have time to be able to do all the due diligence, but like this person seems to be doing due diligence, and it's decay or it grows. Everyone's like stock in terms of like what it is also fluctuating. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really talk about, is that people's stock goes up and down, and people are given power and taken power at any moment, right? And that's something that, you know, real influence is not always on socials. Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of power that happens in the back channels, and a lot of the deals that happen in the back channels, right? There's a lot of different types of like marketing agencies in which that they do. Like look at like Web2. We have not like matured to the segment of like Web2, and you know this too, Jorge. Like it's not just socials. Like there's a whole bunch of things that like you can do and you can move by just like talking to the right people, right? And I think that's a lot of the thing with like crypto Twitter too, is that we have produced another rail for communication, and that's like through like peer-to-peer messaging platforms. And that's mostly because like a lot of like people back in the day for like NFTs or any of that stuff didn't let us like actually run ads. So we had to be very creative on the way that we actually distributed our product, which that's through content creators and like billboards. I call them like the billboards because like crypto Twitter is the place in the highway in which that we're going on, right? And we scroll and you stop if you see a person that is like a really good billboard. You know, there are people that I listen to that I've given agency that if they are partnered with a project, I will at least stop and listen. And then I scroll past the other people that are just mostly attention because I know that they're getting their bag and that's really important. And I usually just kind of take a picture in my mind of like, hey, this person is doing this or shilling this. And that means that person is willing to spend and kind of understands crypto Twitter engagement. But if I just see attention purely, then it shows me, nah, that's not something that really works well. And then, yeah, I think when it comes down to the other mechanism, which is like more Twitter spaces and being kind of like the road show per se, which is going to other different types of communities, talking about different things and, you know, doing the giveaways and doing all those specific things. Those are the other things of like influence that kind of happens. And then, yeah, other influence though too, like Jorge, like you do like actual ads, right? And that's usually because you have a product that isn't solely needed for like NFTs. That it's just a game. And so it's a little bit of a different talk for sure. But yeah, I cannot wait to talk to CK because I prepared his specific thing to talk about more about this and more about like marketing and like the creator specific ones. But he's also done like Wayfinder, right? Which are like the engines on it. I want to talk to this one real quick. Monty said here, I'd say I know about the Vinnies. I'd say I know, and for people that, when I'm reading this out, Vinny is people that are just solely in for like the money. So there's Billy, Vinny, and then there's Chads, right? So Billies are the people that are just here for purely entertainment. Vinnies are the ones that are here to extract and show me the money. And then the Chad is kind of a combination of both. Of like they like the ownership, they like a lot of that stuff, mostly in the form of like gaming. About the Vinnies, I'd say I know a few one-to-one with the Kevin presence in the article. It even reaches a hyperbole where they justify focusing solely on money based on a certain idea that they don't believe in the future of gaming plus Web3. Does Arena leave anything on the table? Yeah, absolutely. I think there's just like a pretty cutthroat thing too, is that like people, it's such a hard cycle, man. I know this is not solely answering your question, Monty, or like, you know, addressing it directly, but like it starts from the top, right? It's a system in which that we've created to be able to create these mechanisms and tools to help give the projects what they want. And then the projects are getting what they want from VCs and centralized exchanges. There's almost like no projects that are just doing and building things for the sake of just building really cool stuff. I think everyone's chasing the centralized exchange or the specific, they're chasing centralized exchanges or VC capital, and usually that's also a moving target because they also don't know what they want. Really, centralized exchanges, if you boil that down to, they want to get more members on their platforms to be able to create more fees to create more revenue, right? They also want more whales, per se, using their platform in which that they can have more liquidity going in and moved over to their specific fees because it's kind of like a modern day bank, right? And I think that's like very difficult, to be honest, to have that moving target. And so that's really what centralized exchanges want and VCs want. There's rarely any builders that are just currently building and trying to get traction, and then from there, like raising off of that, right? It's very tough. And then from there, you get this specific idea that like they don't believe in like gaming and Web3, but mostly it starts from the top of like they don't know what they want. All they want is like a primary metric of people getting on the platform and using it. And so if you want to be on this platform on a centralized exchange, you have to do what I have to say. And so projects do what they have to say, which is like usually getting a certain amount of followers, a certain amount of smart followers, and, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then so they go and do that. and they hit up the content creators that have those because Cookie 3 and all that specific stuff says that they have them. And then it creates this whole, I don't know, this like feeling that does not feel good. Like if I'm just being real, like it feels very synthetic. It feels very like artificial. It feels like I'm eating canned food every single day and nothing's like really organic. And again too, like, but it's also like very difficult. Like one thing that I want to say is like, how do you compete in that? How do you compete in that environment where everybody's using these engagement specific farming tools to be able to produce a certain amount of clout or attention, motion, as the kids say it nowadays, but really they don't. They're just farming out their communities or farming out their specific ones. It's very difficult, you know. It's a harsh reality. But I'm super excited to talk to CK about this topic. And I'm also excited to talk to Tony about this topic too. Like, I think the people that we're going to be talking to is CK, Tony, and then Loaf, LordOfAFew. I would say that the three people that you got first, which is me, CK, and then Tony, we're all marketing guys, right? So like understanding how to distribute product inside of like Web3 is like super important. So yeah, we're going to get to it today. I'm super pumped about it. And so just to kind of give everybody a preview for today, we have myself, I just kind of monologued and kind of talked about like the issues with like botting and all that stuff within botting and engagement specific farming, right? For X and just like crypto Twitter in general, but it's also not unique to us. It's not unique to social media or unique to X. It's also Twitch, Kick, you know, YouTube, TikTok, all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, then we're going to talk to CK here that does Reach, which is like a whole bunch of creator campaigns and Creator Central. And then we are talking to Tony V, which is Glitter Cloud Solutions, who's like a fractional CMO, but also that fractional CMO has now ventured into making his own product, which we're going to talk a little bit about that today too. And then lastly, we're going to talk to Loaf, who's building out Daydreams and the X402 specific platforms as well too. So really, really pumped about that today. We got Lau in the building. I know I am really excited to talk to Loaf about that. The 402 payment standard, which has been gaining a lot of traction lately, is very interesting to really just get the talk about it, right? So this is kind of like the next like AI meta that people are kind of like bubbling up as like, hey, you know, the AI meta last time didn't like really have substance, but like what happens whenever you have a 402 protocol in which that NPCs and people are actually acting upon and buying and selling things for you autonomously. It's definitely some like iRobot stuff, and like I'm very like ignorant of it, but I still want to be a part of it and like educate myself on it. And then yeah, Lau says life is an attention game. It always has been. Yeah, dude. But I would say like, you know, attention does not equal conviction or selling or moving people to buy, right? So I'm excited to talk to CK about that here soon. I'll be right back, guys. I think CK is in the waiting room, and then I'll be there. All right, guys, we are going to be kicking off Alpha Wolves episode 7, first interview with Captain CK. And Captain CK, I cannot wait to dive in, but I do have a bio for you. Captain CK's story is proof that the best marketers in Web3 didn't come from ad agencies. They came from the trenches. In 2021, he wasn't raising rounds. He was painting sneakers and helping indie projects find a voice. 3 years later, he's co-founded Wayfinder and R3ACH, the quiet engines behind campaigns for Arbitrum, Ubisoft, and Animoca Brands. CK doesn't just run influencer marketing, though. He reverse engineered why influence works, breaking it down to 3 words: reach, authority, and product market fit. His mission isn't to make things go viral. It's to make them matter. Super excited about today's topics. CK, how are you today, buddy? Welcome to Alpha Wolves.
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for that eloquent intro. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this podcast, man. I'm excited to hear what I have to say.
Clip it for the partner, man. It's like, hey, this person talked about me, man. It's pretty cool. Love it, man. Also got married at a young age as well too, so we have that in common as well. But
Amazing.
Dude, I want to go back to 2021. Let's put us back there. It has been a while since then, but it was a crazy Wild West. There's a lot of lessons learned, and one thing that I want to do is capture these lessons for future marketers, especially all the kind of fumblings that we had back then, right? And so kind of the evolution of the creator economy in Web3, and we can also touch on Wayfinder as well too. So I would love to touch on Wayfinder as well as what probably led you to found R3ACH with your 3 co-founders, and then we can kind of go from there. But take me back to 2021. You know, what's going on?
Amazing. So back in 2021, I was on a mission to be the best trader in crypto. I had my first trade. I bought a Creature World NFT and I turned it into 10 grand. And all of a sudden I thought I did it. I thought after my first trade, I was the best trader in crypto. I cracked it. I cracked the code. I was ready to retire my parents and the whole deal. But over the next 6 months, I quickly found out that I suck at trading. And that's kind of what led me into the business sphere. And so at the time, I was actually painting custom shoes and selling them on my college campus.
Sick.
And so I essentially pivoted that business into crypto, which is kind of how I got my start in crypto business.
Yeah.
I will show you, this was from my first business. This is my pair of custom sneakers. It's a Heart Project NFT. So I used to paint NFTs on shoes and sell those to people. And so that was my first business in the space. But after that, kind of got into the crypto hustle culture.
Yeah.
You're doing collabs, alpha calling, the whole deal, which eventually led me towards marketing. I landed a marketing role with a crypto project with a founder who'd worked on a few cool projects. And so I got to work with him, and I had no frame of reference for what marketing looked like. To what you said in the intro, I hadn't come from an ad agency. I was at the time a sophomore in college studying entrepreneurship. And so I just kind of reasoned from first principles what I thought marketing should look like. And it happened to come out pretty good. And a lot of people really resonated with the way that I did marketing, because this was, again, back in 2021. If you just, try to put yourself into the mind of someone in that bull run, it was a crazy time.
It was crazy.
People were buying monkey pictures for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It wasn't grounded in reality. And so I tried to take a more realistic approach to marketing, because I was like, well, this whole ape thing, people buying monkey pictures for all this money, whatever, this whole thing didn't make a ton of sense. And so I tried to bring some tangibility to marketing, which is what a lot of people really resonated with at the time. Just going a lot of the more organic route rather than trying to pump numbers and create perception. It's reality versus perception. So we tried to do real marketing.
What was that?
And that's kind of where Wayfinder. Go ahead.
Oh, one thing I want to ask you, CK, is in terms of the first principles, you kind of mentioned that. I love first principle type of thinking. What was that first principle type of thinking that you were really just trying to go to? And that might be more of what you kind of ended with, which is hey, there is this perception. And I think what the hard thing about crypto as well too is just it seems so saturated and very synthetic, right? It seems there's just a lot of mechanisms and tools for enhancing perception, but not actually conviction, right? And so what were the first principle thinkings that you had back then?
I don't think back then I would have had the words. So I'll share with you the words that I have today. And so the words that I have today for the abstract thoughts I had back then is that marketing is a force multiplier for product. And product is what it is that you're offering that people are interested in. In some cases, this is a product like Kaito. It might be an actual platform that people are interacting with. In some cases, it's a meme that people are speculating on. You look like Pengu, it's a brand that people are investing in. So it varies. But I think the first principle behind the way that I thought about marketing then and still think about it today is that marketing is a force multiplier for product. And that's kind of where the roots are, is that the root is in the tangibility of what it is that you've actually built. And then marketing is just how do you connect what it is that you've built to people in a way that it'll resonate with them.
Very cool. Sorry, I interrupted you though. You were about to talk about Wayfinder and Reach and kind of how you got to that specific journey.
Yes. Yeah. So from there, from my first role in marketing, I began doing independent consulting because I was fortunate enough to have created some good case studies for myself, which I then leveraged into getting to work with a lot of cool brands, got to bring a bunch of cool Web2 IPs into crypto and work with various brands. Cool. And this kind of led me into starting my first business. At the time, I met Tom, Bill, and Declan, who are my co-founders within Reach, as well as for Wayfinder. And we started our first business together, which was Wayfinder. Nice. And Wayfinder was our creative marketing agency. So it's like, if you think about marketing as a pie, we offered the whole pie. Okay. And so we started that, and again, just really tried to take what we were doing with, I guess, as individuals, doing independent consulting and doing it in a much more organized and professional way under the umbrella of Wayfinder. So that's essentially where our first business came from and what we did. We never saw like any crazy business success for ourselves. We made some awesome case studies. We had some awesome results for some of our clients, but it never really turned into anything really crazy for us. And so a few months into starting Wayfinder, a very clear trend appeared. And this was crypto projects want to work with crypto KOLs. You know, they see these KOLs on the timeline talking about projects, and they see this causal link between, hey, KOL is talking about a project. People are now interested in this project. You know, people tweet about Pudgy Penguins. Pudgy Penguins is successful. So obviously now they want us, being their marketing team, to go and get the KOLs to talk about them. Right. We're like, okay, sounds good. We're going to go and do this. And so we try to go and talk to KOLs. We, go and DM KOLs we didn't know. We talk to the KOLs we do know. And frankly, there was no infrastructure or business practice around KOL marketing. Yeah. And what this means is like KOL marketing is a relationship. It's a relationship between a brand and a creator. The brand's giving some sort of payment and the creator is giving some sort of content. And since nobody had a ton of experience doing this relationship, it was just very, very difficult to manage because KOLs didn't know how to charge. We didn't know what it actually looked like to have commercial agreements with KOLs. The KOLs didn't know what type of content the brand wanted. Like all of that infrastructure, all the stuff that feels like second nature today was not then. And so we were like, okay, clearly we're out of our depth here. Let's go and find somebody who has experience doing this. And we went and looked for that person and we couldn't find anyone. We actually found that lots of our competitors, lots of the other agencies just had the exact same problem. And so this painted a beautiful opportunity for us, which is really where Reach was born out of. And this was solving this problem for everybody. Right. And this was kind of the root of Reach. And then leading into the actual story of Reach, we founded Reach as a single touch point to crypto's best creators. We built Reach for about a year without seeing really much success at all. For that time, it was like Wayfinder is probably 85% of our revenue. And then Reach was like this little 20% slice where we get a few clients a month. And then after a year, we switched the way our business worked because we had a philosophy that changed the way that we acted as a business. And one of the things that we noticed is that whenever what we functionally do at Reach is we sit between creators and brands. And our business philosophy until then had always kind of been, okay, we need to create great results for the brands and they'll continue coming back to us. And what we noticed is brands would come and go, the creators would always stay. And so this kind of realization changed the way we thought about Reach. And we really recentered ourselves at this 1 year mark to become a more creator focused ecosystem. And this is where our mission of helping creators win came from. And so this led to us starting what we call our flagship program, which is our full management program for crypto creators. Our first two creators within it were Shiv and Whale, which at that point, like everything started taking off. Like we've grown very, very significantly since we introduced the flagship program. And we believe that this is because of us having significant alignment with our vision of helping creators win. We believe that the goodwill that we've developed through creating good relationships is why we're successful. And that's really what we're here to do as a business, is just help creators win. So that's my story. That's Wayfinder, Reach. That's kind of how all of this came to be.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking awesome. I think it's in terms of of what I agree with you a lot on that. The creators are the ones that are kind of staying, right? And the brands kind of circle out and everything like that. I've been at 3 like game companies as well. And so there's just a lot of projects that kind of cycle out, they run out of money or whatever it is. But the people that are currently building the culture and the community of like, you know, CT or whatever we want to call it is still the ones that are currently still here. And, you know, one thing that you also mentioned was in one of the podcasts, you talk about like status and money as like the 2 main currencies of like crypto culture, right? Which is like one of it being like money is like you have to either get people money, like make people money, like kind of like Kaido or any of these ones like ones that have like been able to really trigger people to be like, hey, I'm going to make you money, so you should like follow my project or be a part of my project. And then the other one is like status, which you talk about like social cards and all that stuff. Like, is that I want to kind of also dovetail this question to like status and money, but also like, do you think that's sustainable for like crypto Twitter, right? Like, do you think that like status and money is like the only key things that we should be going into? Or is there also like CT is the only destination for it? Because I've also seen like people like leave too. Like they make a certain amount of money and then like they're gone from crypto Twitter. Like a lot of the people that I used to follow have like fallen off per se as well too, because they made it or whatever it is and they go golf, and I see their specific things on CT. But do you think that status and money is sustainable long term?
I'll divide this into 2 parts. First, I'll comment on status and money and my thoughts on that, and then I'll talk about, you know, sustainability of this. And I might ask you what that second part was because I might forget.
Yeah, good. You're right. Let's go to status and money first.
So status and money first. So I believe that the first principle underlying all success in crypto is creating wealth or status for people, because these are the only 2 things that people in crypto actually want. This is very clearly observable. If you look at every single successful project in crypto, it comes down to either making people money or gaining them status, or both. Making people money is better than gaining status, but gaining status works too. These are like, again, it's underlying every successful product in crypto. So that's the first piece, is that, again, this is what I believe the first principle for success in crypto is. That's why we're successful as a business. We help creators gain status and we help creators make money.
Right.
By that logic, we've become successful. Kaito makes creators money and it gains them status. Kaito's successful. Bitcoin, all the people who bought Bitcoin early made a ton of money and gained status in the process. You can play this game with any product that's successful in crypto. All of them, it's that way. This is not the case in Web 2. But for context, like your iPhone, my iPhone doesn't make me money or gain me status, but that's because the incentives outside of crypto are different, because people in crypto only care about 2 things: making money, gaining status. So this is why I believe that's the case. Now, looking at, is this sustainable? So I believe that the principle that I shared, people in crypto only want 2 things, money and status, is reality. And I believe that anything beyond that are values. So do I think that crypto would be better off if those were not the only things we cared about? Yes. I would love for that to be the case, but it's not the case.
Right.
And culture and incentives, in the way that I'm describing them, are created in aggregate. The reason I say people in crypto only care about 2 things is because these are the only people in crypto are the ones who care about these things, like the people on crypto Twitter. So there's like 2 parts to it. There's crypto Twitter, and then there's crypto.
Yeah.
Crypto Twitter, people only care about making money and gaining status. Now, crypto is a lot bigger than crypto Twitter, and it should be. And crypto is going to go on to do awesome things that crypto Twitter does not deserve to be a part of, because all we care about here is making money and gaining status. And so, do I think crypto Twitter would be better off if that were not the case? Yes. Is it the reality nonetheless? Yes. And do I think that's ever going to change? For crypto Twitter, no, but it doesn't matter, because crypto is much bigger than crypto Twitter, and it's going to go on to do amazing things for the world. And we're going to get to ride that wave anyway. And it's going to make a lot of us really wealthy and help a lot of us gain status regardless.
Yeah, very true. That's very well spoken. I think when it comes down to like crypto Twitter and then also like crypto, it's a very good distinction to have, because whenever we're having that conversation, it can sometimes get muddy of like people think that crypto is crypto Twitter, and that's not the case. So we're actually in a very like tight bubble when it comes down to it. I do really want to get to like reach, authority, and product market fit of like kind of like how you do it. And one of the things that I monologued before this, CK, was like the kind of like, and you've talked about this on the podcast too, is like this kind of like fake engagement that's kind of been like plaguing a lot of crypto Twitter as well too. Like we have a lot of tools in which that like you can like synthetically like boost numbers. First of all, you can like honestly just like buy out like likes and reposts and comments. You also have like AlphaBot, which that you dangle a carrot in front of like specific communities to be able to like push a post or whatever it is. And then you also have like, you know, Engage Bot or any of these specific ones to have a soft currency to be able to push a community to do it. So like, what do you think about like, and especially you're about curation, but like reach seems to be one of the hardest things to really see if somebody actually has reach. Have you guys like, I know your guys' company is called Reach, but have you guys like really thought about that and how to guard against that? Because like one of the things that I'm trying to do is also help founders and marketers to like understand that like somebody might not be natural and they might not be organic, that they're just like pumping numbers. Have you like been able to teach other founders how to see that? Or sometimes I even get confused and I'm in it, you know?
I don't think that there's an awesome way. I do think that it's less about being able to look at an account and black and white tell, is this account botted or not in like a second. But there's a spectrum between being able to tell and not tell, where it's like on one end, you look at every profile and you can't tell at all if anyone's botted or not. And then on the other end, it's you can tell everybody. I think in between those two boundaries, there's a place at which you can efficiently tell with most profiles. I think the easiest way to tell is the combination of reach and authority, which it's authority is really unmeasurable. This is the difficult thing. Authority, for context, reach is the number of people who see content. Authority is the percentage of people who actually care what the KOL has to say. So the best way I can articulate authority is if I were to tell you, you know, Peyton, you need to go buy Ethereum. It's about a rip. Ethereum's about a rip. And then ICO Beast goes and DMs you and says, hey, I know CK told you to buy ETH, but you should go buy AVAX instead. AVAX is going to rip. Who are you going to listen to? You're going to listen to ICO Beast every time because everyone's going to go and listen to ICO Beast before they listen to me because he has more authority. This is what authority is. The best way that I know to measure this is followers in common. It is actually a very good metric, and it's very, very, very hard to bot. I should say it's not possible to bot. There are ways to game it, but it's not super gameable. So it's always pretty accurate. And so I guess the easiest way to tell, it's like sense check quickly if an account is real, is to look at their followers in common. If they have like no followers in common and they're getting hundreds of thousands of views a post, they're like definitely without a doubt a botted account. If they have a lot of followers in common and they happen to be botting, you can still tell. You can just look at the ratio between the different things. Like if they're getting 50 retweets per post, then like nobody gets 50 retweets per post. Like that's not how crypto Twitter works. Everyone's not reposting everything. So it can be easy to tell, but the easiest way is followers in common. That's what I use whenever I'm sense checking accounts.
And then the last one to kind of just round it out is like product market fit, right? And there's probably a lot of people that come to you, and do you usually go through the lens of like product market fit as like, man, my people that are in my network aren't going to receive this well? And so do you just tell them like right from rip, like, hey, like this isn't going to work? And is it usually about status and money before like you either turn them down from like a reach perspective, or like, have you also gotten ever pushback from like creators on that end of like, hey, this is just not, you know, how I operate or how I think it will work?
Yeah, so on the product market fit side, yes, if we see a product that we do not think is up to the standard of our creators, we will not send them offers. We will tell the client that we do not think that you're qualified, and we will refer them to another provider. There are times where the creators themselves will say, hey, this is not for me. This is not the right fit with my audience. With all of that being said, like our core goal as a business is to bring creators deals to help them monetize. Above everything else, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help creators win. And so we do what's in the best interest of that, which is sending as many deals as possible to our creators and giving them as many choices as possible. So what I think it takes to create a great result is reach, authority, and product market fit, which is the frame that you were describing in this case.
Which is yours, by the way. I want to make that very clear. 100%. I took that from a podcast in which that you were talking about that very elegantly, by the way. Reach, authority, and product market fit.
Yes. But with reach, authority, and product market fit, we believe this is what creates successful outcomes in influencer marketing. So this is like the client wants to get a great result. We tell them this is what you need to do. You need reach and authority, which is what we bring for them. And it's their responsibility to build a great product that's going to resonate with the audience. And sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not. But again, our core goal as a business here is to, as much as possible, help creators win.
Yeah, I love that. Like, where are you going with all of this? Like CK, like in terms of like, is it to expand reach into more creators and teaching them up to be like more powers and giving people status to be able to increase reach's network and provide value for your clientele? Or is there a whole like different types of things that you're wanting to bring with your co-founders for reach and maybe even Wayfinder? I know Wayfinder still, you guys kind of flipped it, but like in terms of that.
Yeah. So as far as where we're going, there's the common thread, which is our mission to help creators win. Everything we do is going to be tied to this. So that's the easiest way to think about it. But within that, there's certain checkpoints. There's like one that's, hey, we want to get as many good creators on board so we can create more value for more people. Right. Another one is, well, maybe we want to expand multi-platform that allows us to reach more creators and secure more deals for our creators, therefore helping them win more, you know, or maybe it's shifting outside of Web3. Like there's different checkpoints that fit into this. I would say, with that being said, like the meta lessons are like, one, again, just helping creators win, everything ties to that. And two, really trying to just make the next right decision. That's been one of my big lessons throughout my whole journey is like, we make plans to achieve a desired outcome, but very often we get deep into a plan and then find out it wasn't the right thing. Exactly. And so for us, it's like, while we have these things that in our minds make sense, it's, you know, we might get to the first checkpoint and find out the second one doesn't make sense because it's not what's in the best interest of helping our creators win.
Love it. I know that you got to get going soon, but like, you know, you talked a little bit about multi-platform, you know, for a creator that's maybe starting and, you know, kind of going into it. Do you still think that crypto Twitter is the avenue in which that people should pursue? Or is there other specific mechanisms or platforms in which that they should be like, okay, I'm going to try to make a very unique statement here? You kind of talked about that guy type of thing of like, hey, being that guy is like, would you like support YouTube or do whatever and being that guy on that? And then like, or is it like, hey, you should probably stay within the confines of crypto Twitter and be that guy on crypto Twitter?
The best thing you can do to make money sustainably as a content creator in crypto is to be that guy in the biggest pond possible. So pond is your niche. It's like you can have really small ponds, you can have an ocean. That's your niche. You know, I am in a small niche, which is crypto marketing. This is what I have authority on. And whenever I talk about going and buying Ethereum, nobody listens to me. People only listen to me about marketing.
They should though, CK. They should.
No, they shouldn't. They should not. Remember the beginning. I'm a bad trader. Don't buy
Ethereum is good, right? I've known ISOBs for a very long time. All right, I will tell you right now, he has not hit 100%. I'm going to tell you right now.
I believe that. That's for the people in the audience to decide if they want to listen to me. But they shouldn't buy it because I tell them to. Okay, not financial advice. Anyway, can you remind me what the thread I was on?
Sorry, I completely derailed both of us. I think it's multi-platform, and then the aspect of like, you know, having a pond and being able to go into that niche of like, you know, crypto marketing is your authority. And then I derailed you. So apologies.
You're all good. Perfect. So my niche is influencer marketing and content creation. So I have authority within these things. Whales is kind of what everyone wants to talk about because there's so much authority. I'm a pond, he's an ocean. In order for you to be most successful, you want to be that guy. This means you want people to see your profile and say, oh, he's the insert thing guy. He's the, with Pix, he's the investigation guy. With Clemente, he's that guy who does dances every time Bitcoin hits an all-time high. You know, he's that guy. You know, you want to be that guy in the biggest pond possible. Now, I believe that in your growth journey, you have to start in small ponds and then increase your pond, like, what is it? Ponds, then lakes, then oceans. You have to grow your niche as you gain authority within them. I say this to say how this model then ties to going and trying to explore multi-platform. If you want to be a TikTok exclusive creator and make that your pond, you can. It's a pretty small pond because, and I mean this in the sense that there aren't many brands sponsoring content on TikTok.
Right.
But if you are that guy of TikTok, then you're going to get all of the deals that do come to TikTok, and you're going to be balling out way more than an average creator on crypto Twitter.
Right.
Or another path is you start on TikTok, you become that guy on TikTok, and then you transition to Twitter because you've built so much authority on TikTok that now your authority spans on to Twitter. So there's many ways up the mountain of becoming a successful creator, but the common thread here is you want to be really recognizable for one thing. This is that guy effect.
Right.
And you want to start in small ponds and grow your pond as you go. If you want the pond to be a different platform, you can, because other platforms are much less competitive. There's less people posting on Instagram, on TikTok, on etc. about crypto, but there's also way less sponsors. So again, it's many ways up the mountain.
Yeah. No, it's a really good take as well too. I have one actually question from the audience, and then I would love to. I know you got to get going, a hard stop, but it's like people taking into account like ethos scores of like KOLs. Is there any like specific tooling out there that you think that is very useful for like a founder? We kind of talked about a little bit of like Cookie 3, Kaido specific smart followers and all that stuff. But is like ethos or any of those specific ones, you think those are going in the right direction or can be gamed? I think sometimes for me, it's like that can kind of be gamed by relationship a little bit. And it's kind of like favoritism, right? Like it was so funny in terms of like ethos. You saw all the collab managers get like 100% ethos scores for the fact that no one wants to lose out on collabs, right? So like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, yeah. So what you want if you're going to use a platform is you want a platform that's based off of objective metrics, not on subjective metrics. So if you look at ethos, I think it's an awesome tool.
Yeah, same.
And I think it should continue to be used, but it is very subjective. If you look at the leaderboards, a lot of the leaderboards, they don't necessarily make sense. Like you said, collab managers are too high, and then people who say controversial things are often too low.
Right.
And a lot of controversial things need to be said. Like you see people fighting Zach XBT. He just says what needs to be said.
Right.
And platforms that are very subjective aren't going to optimize correctly.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd recommend ethos. I do think it's worth looking at. Like if you're really investigating a creator, that is a great tool to look at. Just you have to look at it with nuance, not as like some objective measure. And then on the other side, platforms like Cookie 3 or platforms like Kaito, all the InfoFi platforms, these are going to be a lot more objective. It's going to be, they're looking at metrics, they're looking at the way accounts engage together, and they're deciding which accounts belong where on a leaderboard. And go and look at the leaderboard. Generally, the actual project leaderboards sometimes don't make sense, but like the crypto Twitter leaderboards, those are really good and they're really accurate. And Yaps, like that's a good metric, for example, that you could use to attribute like how valuable is this creator compared to another creator. I think these are all like really, really useful tools that founders should definitely take advantage of because I'm 100% sure you're not going to figure out if they're valuable scrolling their timeline. That never works.
Absolutely. Last minute, CK. I know I want to keep you on time. I want to be that guy. Where can people find you? I already have your handle down there, but like, where can people find you? Where can people maybe join part your vision?
Yeah, so the best place to stay in touch with me is just my Twitter account, Captain CK on X. You can just follow my account, keep in touch. We are good about posting stuff. We also have the Reach Network account. You can keep an eye on us there. And then finally, if you want to be a client or creator, you can check out our website, and we have intake forms for both. And so that's my piece. That's how you can stay in touch with me.
All right, you the man, CK. I appreciate you, brother. And thank you so much. I know that we probably have, you look tired, dude. Freaking get some sleep. I know you've been freaking grinding and you're super busy, and I'm super happy that you're busy. Would love to stay in touch, and I'll see you in the next one, buddy.
Appreciate you, man. Good chatting. We'll be in touch. Peace.
All right, guys. That was a awesome talk with CK. There's a lot of things that we can like go into and tell into. A lot of the questions that I was asking, apologies for also some people that wanted to maybe know about some other things on it. I really wanted to kind of dive deep into a talk that he had on a podcast earlier, like a couple weeks ago, and it was really talking about double clicking into like the power status type of thing that he was kind of talking about. And that was something that I really wanted to touch on. But we got some new people in the building. I appreciate it. Hey, Doug Hype, how you doing today, brother? cheapviewersstreamboo.com. No, thank you. I appreciate it though. Zoe, we is here. Zoe with Slayer I'm late, but I'm here now. I appreciate you. So welcome, friends. And then, yeah, hey, P Money. What's up, Doug? How are you, brother? Yeah. And then, so we kind of talk about like authority in the space. I think it just really comes down to like authority and status. And, you know, it's hard to see like when people are like, who has like authority or not, right? I think it's like very difficult to do, right? And so really, really excited about just talking with him. I wish I had more time, but he definitely had a hard stop, and so I wanted to make sure that I was good there. Yeah, the guy is super chill. So, and he also has like a few co-founders as well too for like you know, Reach and all that stuff. Like really, really cool. And then yeah. Oh, my bad. Thank you. So I know I was floundering on that. I was trying to make a joke, and then it ends up kind of ruining it for myself on that. But really, really excited to talk to Tony, my friend, next, brother. Yeah, I definitely need to like not be the first one that starts. Like I think, you know, talking to people is like always what kind of gets me energized, and then be able to like move to like the next topic, right? But yeah, yeah. So and Zoe together again on the specific chat. But to let people know what we have next, we have Captain CK Reach. We just finished up that conversation with him, and then we have Tony V Glitter Cloud Solutions, and he's like does fractional CMO stuff. So like kind of knowing what I've done with Tony in the past, we're gonna talk about like kind of like Web3. He has also a specific experience before, like he was like a Nintendo, he was like at EA, Amazon, pretty much developed the whole sub thing, and then went into creating Shrapnel, right, with the guys. And so really cool to kind of get his lessons and stuff that he learned, and then moving into stuff, because I think it's really what it comes down to. Is being able to have a conversation with somebody that has been in the trenches with you. You can talk to CK, right? Like a lot of the conversations that we had were like the second level. And apologies for people that are maybe like on the 101 level for like marketing and stuff. But I really wanted to talk about and capture lessons of things that are like higher than that. And there are like nuanced things to marketing, especially within Web3 marketing, that people have like authority in that niche. And definitely CK has worked with so many creators and all that stuff for a long time. And so I wanted to talk to it. Zoe, Sora videos, bro. Sora videos have been freaking popping on yours, man. Really excited about that. And then Lauverse, being silent in conversation is hard. It definitely is. I think talking and monologuing is something I just need to get better at. Like, it's not something that I'm naturally gifted at, even though I can yap for a living and dance. Usually I need it better. Like I was trying to like have an outline ready to go for it. And yeah, I ended up like kind of tripping over my words because I was trying to find the outline. But definitely tough. But yeah, really great combo. Thanks, Lau. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, brother. Zoe, like, is there credits for Sora? Zoe, like, do you have to run credits and stuff for it? Very nice pump cover. I did not get a pump today, so you can stop that. But yeah, so hopefully, what's it called? We also get Loaf. So just for people's like understanding, he confirmed, and he also has the meeting, but like I'm hoping that he also confirms, but he has not confirmed, at least via like X post this morning. So we'll see this. That hoodie looks like it's a very nice like pump cover. Is this Wolves merch for sale? No, Peyton's gatekeeping. Absolutely. Talk to Lau, guys. I'm not in charge of that. Not in charge of it. Lau and Sam has also made this one, so we have to figure out the supplier for this one. But this one's like really fun. Like I would say Hannah definitely likes this one the most on me because it's like the length and stuff like that is good. So, you know, the length is good. And yeah, so it's hot in here though. There's like fall, and so like the heat's kind of on. Jeez, definitely good stuff. But dude, it's been a journey, man. Yeah, Skyline's been freaking just commenting on everything. So super excited. Yeah. No credits. Yeah, it's in the works. It's definitely been in the works. It's been in the works for 3 years though, right, Lo? So it's been a while, guys. It's been a while. Oh, no credits. That's crazy, bro. I wonder how they're like making. They're probably not making any money. I personally like VO3 better, to be honest. Like I enjoy VO3 like much better as like a platform, and then like I like using all the other specific platforms as well too. Which is like I think they're just dope. Nice. Oh, what's it called? There's Taylor ID. What's up with the hearts, brother? How are you, brother? Hopefully you're doing well. We're kind of like waiting for Tony, and then I'm also just getting kind of digesting a lot of the stuff from CK. So I'm just taking some notes real quick. Oh, my bad. So do you think I'm using that to pump my videos? Yeah, dude, it's like it's tough though, man. Like I would say that like being like a natty like creator nowadays is like freaking tough. Like, can we just talk real for a second? Like being a natural creator of like, hey, letting the algorithm do its work is like freaking hard. Like I think the incentives and the mechanisms in which that we like build are like really, really tough. So saying yes, they're losing for sure. It's a strat of almost 99% of all AI companies: release, burn through money, capture market share, then figure out monetization. Yeah, and that's just like a lot of like the VC specific things is like, you know, get as much users as possible, take an L on the stuff in front end, and it works. But like you need to turn on monetization, right? Like even for Kazuna, we're talking a lot about that right now, which is like being able to offer like the service for free, and then see how expensive it is because of like server runs and server costs, and then from there, you know, see what we got, and then because that distribution like helps, right, of being inside of Discords. Is for the person AI peon AI creator. Okay, no, I'm not saying that it's not impressive, Zoe. I'm saying that Sora, I don't know how they're losing so much money on each generation cost, you know? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, AI companies, I would say like even Discord, like Discord has not like flipped a profit, to be honest. It's been like really rough for them. So we'll see. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But like in terms of like the bots and stuff too, like, you know, I think what's hard about like the whole engagement bot stuff, and I know that CK didn't really touch on it too much. Maybe if in another conversation I can touch on it with him, but like the engagement stuff is like so difficult to detect, right? Like you have like engage bot, which is you create a soft currency for your community. You create that soft currency, and then you be able to go in and do it. Or even like the specific price pool stuff. Like everything is incentivized inside of like crypto Twitter. And like that is like another version of ad spend, right? Like you're spending money on incentivized programs for them to show up and to hopefully listen. And I think that's like the issue that I have with a lot of this stuff is that like people are not there to listen. Like they're just there to just get the reward, and they don't really care about anything. They'll just do what's bare minimum for it. And then that. So I think that's what's like hard for me. Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that like people and like I guess on my more direct question is like, do you guys think that people are, it's like totally fine to do that, which is like, hey, have all these engagement systems. And if it is okay, is there layers to it? Like, is it okay to like just like bot followers and bot views to be able to like bump yourself up to become higher on it, right? So like, for example, we're completely natural in terms of like how much people like we have here, right? But do you just like boost this to be able to do that? And the same thing goes for Twitch, right? So Twitch goes the same thing, is like you have, you know, you bought these specific views to move higher up on the Twitch feed. And then you know, these people are the ones that have like, you know, viewers. And then like people bought views to be able to move up in these specific ones. And is that like just kind of the new meta, because like you have, everybody's doing it. So how do you guard against it, you know? Anyways, we could talk about that. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. X punishes heavily when you bot. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll talk a little bit later. I'm gonna go chat with Tony real quick, and then I'll be right back.
Let's go.
What is up? Here we go. We are on interview number 2, and it's with none the other Tony V. I freaking love him, dude. We're going to talk about his bio, but I'm also going to do a free cuff, which I usually do this with the Wolves and nobody else. But like Tony V is a very special person and very special human being to me. So let's get this thing started. We have Tony V's resume is basically a guided tour of gaming history, Nintendo, Amazon, EA. He helped create Twitch Prime before Prime Gaming has even had the phrase. Then they took that DNA into Shrapnel, one of the Web3's first AAA shooters. Tony's edge is pattern recognition. He's watched attention migrate from cartridges to streams to tokens and keeps finding ways to meet players where they are, and now in AI. So we'll touch on that a little bit. And today he runs Glitter Cloud Solutions, helping Web3 studios nail their go-to-market, and he's building Mako, an AI-powered marketing platform aiming to give creative strategy to its own neural engine. Tony, what is up, brother? Welcome to Alpha Wolves. How are you doing, man?
Oh, life is good. Thanks for having me on today, guys. I love guys like there's more than one a year, but I love the Wolves. I'm excited to be here, talk about what we're building. I have a strong place in my heart for all you guys, and Peyton's one of my best buddies.
Yeah, really. And I do want to kind of double click into that, man. Like, it's been just a long journey with you, some intertwined and some just in parallel. And it's just been somebody that, like Tony, to kind of go off of the written bio, but just somebody that I highly respect, and somebody that's been just like a dear friend to me as well too. There's not somebody that's going to take care of his friends and be loyal to his friends and be able to like really understand like and meet where people are at, other than Tony. And also just an amazing storyteller, and also just somebody that you want to do life with, because he is going to be somebody that is just going to go and do really creative things, and you know that he's going to not forget about you. And so Tony, freaking love you, dude. I can't wait to get started with you. And that's actually where I want to start, is actually to kind of go back to your history of everything that's kind of like going on, right? Like you've touched some of like the biggest Web 2 giants, Nintendo, Amazon, EA. And so want to kind of go back into that history and then kind of what led you to Web 3, and then we can kind of go from there with lessons learned.
Yeah, for sure. So my background, like Peyton said, I've been working in video games for 20 years now. I started at Nintendo way back when the Wii was becoming very popular. It was a great time to join Nintendo because they were coming out of a pretty dark slump with the GameCube. Morale was way down, and then the Wii came and everyone was a rock star again. So it was just really fun to be there and be there for that explosive growth. I did a bunch of big data stuff there, onboarded Oracle and some other speech analytics tools. And then I went over to Amazon, where I spent the bulk of my career. I was there for 10 years, and I did like everything that you can do in video games at Amazon. I sold video games on the retail team. I worked on the App Store. I shipped a couple of mobile games for Amazon Game Studios that no one played. And then at one point we bought Twitch.tv and we created the program Twitch Prime, actually what was called Prime Gaming. And now I think they merged it with Luna, which is their streaming service. But yeah, we created that, small team and I. A lot of fun, grew it from 0 to 30, 40 million customers, and pretty significant impact on the Amazon business as a whole. Lowered the age of Prime from mid 50s to 30s or something like that. It was great. And I flew into the sun, ready to be done working at big companies. And I went and kind of bounced around startups for a little bit. I led marketing for this company that is like Yelp for weed. It's called Leafly. And that's actually how I got introduced to crypto, because at the time, and I'm pretty sure still, the federal legislation is such that like you can't actually bank if you're a cannabis company. Like you can't like put money in a bank and then take it out or have people pay you with banks. And so we had like a dude, like a former military dude, that would like fly around the country with a sack and put cash in it and bring it back to Seattle. And that was like not a sustainable way to grow what eventually became a $30 million business. And so we started taking crypto because it was just like the only, like literally the only thing that was not sending a guy around with a gun and a duffel bag. And so I got introduced to like just this whole concept, and like had to understand that like not all crypto is equal, and you know, really deeply understand volatility in markets, which, you know, coming from cannabis, there was a lot of that as well, because, you know, unshockingly, the semi-legal drug trade is also very volatile. So I did that for a little while. Really fell in love with crypto. And then this guy that I had helped with a startup years before called me and was like, "Hey, we just sold $2 million worth of NFTs from National Geographic, and we have no idea what to do with this business. We are, you know, we're not what you would call professionals, and we want you to tell us how to run this business." And I was like, "All right, well, I don't really want to do that, but if you want to make video games, I will quit my job and start making video games with you guys." And so we did that. I made a little platformer on Solana, and we had a little 2D metaverse for a little while, and they're making infrastructure tools now. But I did that for a couple of years, and then had an opportunity to go work at Shrapnel, big AAA shooter. Buddy called me up and said, "Hey, I've been here for a year, and they need someone to come in and really own Web3." So I did that, and within a couple of months, I ended up being elevated to the CMO and basically running marketing. That's where we met. Brought you on, started hanging out with the Wolves, and then you know, now after my worked at Shrapnel for 2.5 years, ran the token to $1 billion at one point, and then I don't know how many people are following Web3 gaming, but Shrapnel had some woes and challenges, and I opted out of some of those and decided to spin up this new business, Glitter Cloud Solutions. Really just was born out of referrals and the good friends and goodwill that I've been able to engender the last few years, but just had a really fortunate amount of referrals come in and been able to run the small business. And then about 6 months ago, a bunch of buddies and I got together, and well, actually, it's really funny. We all know Charlie and Sam from Remix, and I wrote a PRD, a product requirements doc, which is like a technical doc that describes a set of features that you might want to build. And I sent it over to Charlie and Sam, and I was like, "Hey guys, I think I have this idea for a remix that might like be really beneficial." And I sent it over, and I love Charlie, love Sam, and they were like, "Hey, we're like going in a different direction, not what we want to do." And I was like, "All right, sweet," but like just to let you guys know, like I'm gonna go build this because I think it's awesome. And so that's what we're doing now. We made this thing called Mako.ai, and it's a like all-in-one game development and design solution. So you can go and natural language prompt art assets in 20 different styles, 2D, 3D, yada yada yada, and then we will create a character reference for you. It does a 360 view of the character. I'm doing this like it helps. A 360 view of the character, and then that allows you to maintain consistency across animations, which is like really challenging with AI art. And then you can take those and bake them directly into a game while you're making it. And that's where we are now. That's how we got here, bro.
Dude, it is crazy. That journey is like so awesome though, like because you're just really kind of just following like your curiosity, right? And I think one thing that I want to kind of like, I don't know if you've like thought about this or reflected on it though, Tony, is like your ability to kind of like detect on like what's coming next. I think like for you, for like Amazon, I think you brushed over it, but like you had a lot of like your fingerprints are all over like the loyalty loops within like Amazon and like kind of like the streamer specific stuff, which was at the time isn't that popular, right? And then you are very early to the token economy, and then now you're early right now with like AI. Have you ever thought about like your thought process on how you think about it? Is it just being curious and being chronically online? Like what is it? Can you give us some insight on it at all?
It's a mix of that for sure, like curiosity and chronic embedding in whatever it is that I'm working on. You know, in this case, it's online. I glossed over it because it's not as interesting, but I ran retention for a freight company for a while. Like my job was to keep drivers driving and not quitting their jobs, which is a real problem in the U.S. with truck drivers. And with that, like it's more like method acting, I would say, than like seeing the future, like being able to understand trends. Like I just get in to the mix with people. With the trucks, I like drove in a truck for hundreds of hours with people and deeply understood what the problems were, and then figured out what value exchange we needed to create to create enough value for those people to stick around. Similarly, with entertainment products, it's even easier because like the maybe not easier, but more straightforward, because the people want to like entertainment products, right? They're seeking out something enjoyable when they're going to look for one. And so really in this case with Mako, for example, I started using Remix. I was like I said, I love Charlie, I love Sam, and I was like, I want to make my own games. And so I went and started making games with Claude Code and Cursor, and like I just a bunch of these different tools. And I found like 5 things that like suck about vibe coding, right? And one of them is making things move on the screen is really hard with AI. ChatGPT is befuddled by the idea of locomotion, right? Arms swing and legs go one after the other, like just completely lost on that. And then when you get it right, and you're like, holy shit, I got a sprite that is with its left leg forward instead of its right leg, getting that to then like repeat from a walking animation to a jump animation is like really hard. So like we solved all that. But the point is, the reason that we solved that is because I spent like 6 months trying to build something and like being really frustrated with it. I built my own, I called it Animation Buddy in Cursor before I brought on a real CTO and he made the real tool. But like, so yeah, very much like being in the thing that you're trying to be a domain expert on, or ultimately businesses are about generating value for big people involved in the business, the people that work there and the people that consume the content or the product or whatever it is. And so finding out where in the value stream you can insert yourself is like the key part, in my opinion, of creating a successful business.
Yeah. And I think that's a really like first principle type of way of thinking. And I think you apply that to like marketing really well. And I think like one thing that I want to talk about is like some of the lessons that we have learned collectively. This can be more of a discussion, but I also just want you to take it mostly because you have a very like large authority in this area as well too, because you've done go-to-market campaigns in a lot of different types of companies as well. Excuse me. And I want to kind of also capture lessons here too, Tony. I know that you're doing something with like Mako and everything that you're doing, but you've also had a lot of history in terms of doing playbooks.
Oh yeah,
right?
dude.
And that's really what I want to kind of capture for, like, I guess the future marketers, ones that are wanting to come up after you and all that stuff. What are some of the common mistakes that you've found in marketing that people like don't fully understand? Maybe something that you have a unique perspective on, and then like maybe specifically too, like go to market mistakes from like Web3 studios and projects.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I'll start at the top with like just marketing stuff, and then I'll end with the Web3 stuff. So the general marketing, the thing that I've found is that like you can't teach hustle. Like you can't teach 6'5" in basketball, right? You just like it's a thing that you're born with. And so generally what I find early marketing leaders, not even I make this mistake. So marketing leaders in general, struggle with is marketing is inherently a charismatic motion, right? It is the people that are most successful at marketing, in my experience, even the data-driven ones, like still deeply understand like human thought and why people are doing the things they're doing. And so generally the people that are good at that understand like you and how you want to be interacted with and treated. And so separating, I really like this person and the ideas that they have, even if those ideas are great, from this is a person who I can rely on to not only have ideas, but execute them and go figure stuff out and come to me when they've broken stuff, not 5 times before they are worried they're going to break something. That is like really, really important at every level of your career. When you are not managing a team, you want to be that person. You want to be the person that like comes to your manager and says, hey, I tried to send all of our customers an email and I accidentally sent them a picture of our homepage with a rabbit on it, right? And then you're like, oh shit, that was dumb. Please don't do that again. But we have 500 emails right now, so like the business is going to crash, right? You want that, right? You want people that I always tell people when they're working for me at Amazon that I would much rather have other peers of mine coming to me and saying, Rob is a psychopath who I can't work with because he won't stop telling me to do things or asking me to do things, than me having to ask you like, hey, what did you do this week? Or like, how's it going with that promo? And so like just the idea that like you are an owner of your own career, your own outcomes within a specific job, that's so important. Again, and when I say like every level of the career, to practice that when you're an individual contributor, and then not only practice it when you're a manager, but also to be explicit that that's the culture, right? Like you have to say it, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? Like I had a conversation with a buddy yesterday, and he was really struggling because he helped someone start a company recently, and he was one of the founders, and he's just like he doesn't have a lot of domain expertise in the thing that they started the company about. He's just like always a good guy. And he's great with the community. He like manages the Discord and stuff. But they're starting to bring on investors and strong talent, and so they have to give some of these people like more of a percentage of the company than this guy has, right? And he's like really struggling with that. He's like, I feel like I've been here from the beginning and I don't understand why this is happening. And like, I'm a founder. And I just had to tell him, I had to be like, listen, man, like I get that. But like at one point, like when you start becoming a real company, the thing that matters isn't like how long you've been around or how loquacious you are. It's like, what results are you bringing to the company? And it's important that you do that without being a psychopathic prick, because no one will want to work with you if you're delivering results and you're a crazy person. But if you're just super nice and fun to be around, you've been there a while and you don't deliver results, like that's, I would say, worse than being a psychopath that delivers results. And so, there's a balance to everything, but that's the biggest pitfall. And honestly, it's more pronounced in Web3 than it is in Web2. It absolutely exists in Web2. The layoffs that you're seeing in the game industry right now are a function of COVID and the glut of unqualified people that were hired because of the sprint that happened, right? And so, like, it happens in Web2, it happens in Web3. There's an old trope, A players hire A players and B players hire C players. And that's just like super true. Good take. And so like being intentional about the people that you bring in to be the core of your team, the first, 3-4 people is really important. Peyton, I mean, you and I, I won't name names on this one, but like you and I have talked about like, Glitter Cloud and the way I started it and some of the personnel issues that we had rolling through. And a lot of that was just like, I was buddies with a couple people and had a lot of trouble, like just holding them accountable to deliverables. And, we worked through that, and it was a challenge as a first time new business owner, but it's really, really important that you embrace the tough conversations and like have them early and often.
Yeah. Early and often is like extremely important when it comes to people that you also want to stay in your life, right? I think sometimes you can hold on to like Bittermint really quickly, and then it like the longer you hold it, the more like, you know, just things kind of like build up and then bubble up and then like blow up, right? And I think that's like really what it comes down to. I think you've been an excellent communicator as well with me. I've also worked under your tutelage as well at Shrapnel. And I think like when it comes down to like go to market or hustle, like I think that's like one of been the hardest things. And to your point, in Web3, it's very difficult to get like a level of professionalism, I would say. And I think like for you, it's because maybe you've operated Amazon and some of like this very bureaucratic like companies that it kind of has done. But like for the newer people, everything that you said, I just want to echo, because I've worked in the Navy as well too. So like it can get it. That's just as bureaucratic as you can get. And so there's all these like functional layers, but like you do have to show up on time, or like you get like, you know, there's like repercussions.
There's real consequences.
Yeah, there's real consequences. Like that's either like working out or like staying up or having like watch and all that stuff. And then they pretty much own your life. So like I've gotten a lot of that beat out of me, but like Web3 people like just have not gotten that beat out of them because there's like no stakes for them to do it, right? And I think that's like, yeah, like you said, very prevalent, and like B players hiring C people as well too. So yeah, really.
You know what?
Really
you know
cool.
what I'll say though that I'm loving about this space is, and the new way of working, and like, you know, I'll say you people because you're a lot younger than me, but like the generation behind me, is it's like the model of work can be so much, I'll say less toxic, but I wish I had a better word, like whatever the adjective for thriving would be, or the pronoun for thriving would be. Like people you're able to really interact with people at a much more real level and build teams in a decentralized way of people that like share interests but maybe not skill sets. And as long as you find the right people, like there are like I have a group like this that I hang out with every day. I have Discord view definitely with them right now. We're building.
Yeah, they're all in the specific chat right now. Like you can Dragoon, Caesar, and all that stuff.
Yeah. And so they, you know, like I have these guys that, you know, I've been hanging out with and playing video games with for you know 6-8 months. But you know, now that we've got, you know, some business stuff to do, I basically have turned the Discord into like Tony's employment agency, right? Like whenever we get a new client, we farm out video work and reply guy work and all kinds of stuff. And then the model is such that like, because I've never worked like this before, because I'm effectively bringing financial opportunity to people, that they are excited, not just willing, but excited to work on a breadth of projects beyond just the thing that they're making money on, right? So if I have a client and I bring in something like, hey, I need you to run a reply guy for this, and I'm going to give you X amount of dollars a month. But I also need you to go like do reply guy for these other accounts that we have as well, because it's the same motion. Yeah. They're like, yeah, great. Let me know. And then I like up real with them. I'm like, hey, if this is going to take you more than like 4 hours a day, let me know, and we'll just pay you for 2 clients, right? Exactly. And we were really transparent in that way. And like that doesn't happen at like big businesses, right? You can't go to your boss or your boss is never going to come to you and be like, hey man, it looks like you're working a lot harder than you should be. Like, I'm going to give you like a raise right now, right? It's just like there's all kinds of layers. You got to get approval, right? And like I'm finding this method of, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, value creation. Deeply understand what people value. Like I think that the new model for work, especially service-based work, is going to be completely distributed. You only live in the same city if by chance you hire a buddy or whatever. And all of the work is done round the clock by people who are working whatever hours they care to work, as long as they're getting their shit done. And you're talking about how much that work is worth in the moment, and not what you did for me last week or what you're going to do for me next month. And you're again back to value exchange. You're exchanging the value that you're getting, and you can do so in a really healthy way, because there's not like politics, right? It's like we're all being transparent. There's no layers, right? I just think you asked about the difference too between big companies, and that's probably the biggest difference that I really appreciate, is just like the flexibility and the transparency.
Yeah, it's more bartering than it is like kind of this authority over the other person of like, hey,
that is a great way to put it.
Yeah, and it's just really, it comes down to it, because everything that you said like is also normal for us as well too. It's like transparency, like even like with budgets or any of that stuff, it's like everyone kind of knows. It's like saying the things that have been quiet for like our jobs and the way that we talked about, like don't talk about like each other's salaries or any of that specific stuff. It's like, wait, everybody kind of knows each other's salaries.
Yeah,
like, why the frick why are we being so private about all of this stuff? And like, why don't we actually just all be transparent and saying like, hey, this is my cut, this is your cut. Are you cool with it? Yeah. because I need money.
And then you negotiate if you're not.
Yeah,
that's the way
exactly.
it works. And like the whole concept of like, and I was a really good manager at Amazon. Not gonna, I hope no one sees this and tells me I ruined their life, but I think I was a really good manager at Amazon. People told me that I got high ratings, and the thing that I found is that like people want to work with people, no matter what stage of life that you're at, what level of your career you're at. People don't want to work for people. They just don't. And like the structure around quarterly reviews and the way that progression happens in a company, in at least in the modern tech era, I think is really broken and like very counter to the way that humans are motivated, and has created some really toxic cultures and people. But I think we're breaking out of it because people like me and like some of my co-founders who worked at Amazon for 10 years and have seen the crazy ugly don't want that and are willing to do shit. Like everyone in Glitter Cloud can pull up a spreadsheet right now and see exactly how much we're making and how much everyone else is making. Like how much clients are paying us and how much we're paying everyone is like on a spreadsheet.
Right.
And I just think that's important, right? Like, because it goes both ways too. Like some people are like, hey man, I don't get why like I'm not making as much as this guy. You can be like, well, that guy's doing all this shit. Like go do all this shit. And then and then the other person who's doing all that shit can be like, hey man, I think like I'm doing all this shit. And this other person is like getting almost as much as I am. And like, I don't see them doing anything. Like it creates a shared accountability that I don't think was possible before the way we communicate now with Telegram and Slack and shit. But we're there now, I think.
Yeah, I also think that like it's some of the culture that's baked in with like blockchain. I think maybe, and this is something that's maybe very unique to us for the fact that like, I guess when it comes to like blockchain and crypto as well too, it's just like so transparent. Right. And so some of it's baked into the culture in which that we both operate. I'm very curious to see like how tech founders are doing it. And like you have more insight than me, because like a lot of my circle is still within that. It's very hard for me to get to like maybe second-degree connections or third-degree connections to see if that is. But anyways, we can talk about that all day. What I want to do is like kind of give you the last like 5 minutes here, Tony, to like talk about like where you're going, right? You kind of talked a little bit about Mako, but I really want to dive like deeper into that, and then also Glitter Cloud Solutions. Like you've obviously done a lot of that too. So really wherever you want to take it, I want to kind of give this to you of like a time in which that maybe I can double click into something that you do say to like kind of further discussion on it. But yeah, Mako, Glitter Cloud, wherever you want to go. I would love to know more about Mako as well.
I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, you know, I'm doing the thing that I did not think I was going to be doing at 40, but I quit my normal job when I parted ways with Shrapnel and I started an agency at 40 years old. It was not what I thought I was going to do. Yeah. And then I've been very fortunate. About it,
that's not something you wanted to do.
I was like the opposite of what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be slowing down, hanging out with my kid. But so you know, I didn't expect that, and I've like been very fortunate. All my friends and colleagues in the space have referred me an incredible amount of business that has made this transition very easy. I now am in a position where I can bootstrap this AI company with the revenue from Glitter Cloud, and that's what we're doing. So Glitter Cloud's an agency. Consultancy, whatever. We help people go to market on tokens, video games, entertainment products. We're helping someone launch a DEX right now. And we get, a retainer and some amount of upside for that work. And then I take all that money, I pay out the people that are working on Glitter Cloud, and whatever's left, usually some mid 5 figures a month, we just dump into Mako, either for inference costs or the actual running of the AI. We've spent like $800 on ads so far, but like the $800 I spent on ads. Yeah. We actually, no one's taking a paycheck right now. So at one point that we'll pay a roll out of that as well. But my hope is that Mako starts making money in the next 30, 60 days, and then we just start being our own, not bootstrapped by Glitter Cloud.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say that the transition from being like a service-based business owner to a product-based business owner, and like I guess
please talk to me about that, because both of me and you are going through that right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, so what I did, I cheated. I run Glitter Cloud because it's largely like a sales and marketing motion. Right. But like I don't run. I started Mako with like 3 guys. Right. But I quickly, as soon as I could, brought in my buddy Jeremy, he was an Amazon engineer for 12 years. And I said, Jeremy, I want you to be the CEO of this company. Like, I got him excited about it. I was like, why don't you come in and do some shit and rebuild some stuff? And then he rebuilt everything and he started getting excited. And I was like, what do you think about taking the company, like all of it? Why don't you just be the CEO? We'll give you the most equity. We will never dilute you, and you can run this thing. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. That's smartest thing I've ever done. Dude. This guy, he's one of those guys that is so talented and so opinionated that like all he needs is the head to run. and the things he does are incredible. Like our product has transformed in the last month from a thing that like I thought was cool and was proud of having created myself and lovable to like a commercial enterprise level product that could be like I remember when he joined, he looked at all our code base and he's like, guys, I want to preface this by saying that this is really impressive that you guys have done this so far, but I have to know you haven't let anyone sign up for this yet, right? Like there's no emails floating around or anything. And we're like, no. And he's like, good, because none of this is secure. And so like the first thing he did was just rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah. And we've seen a whole bunch of that stuff, like the AI stuff. And I think that's one of the things to note about, like, I think the vibe coding era is like, I think a lot of it gets buzz, and I think a lot of people are going, I think it hasn't even hit like mainstream yet where like my parents are doing it. But like, yeah, the amount of security that is like, it's very, you need to make sure that you're very secure on your app, because that's something that it does not touch just yet.
Well, we were just talking about this, Jeremy and I, or my CEO and I, because like we were, we have a thesis that I think is going to pan out, that all of these big companies have been selling this dream that AI is going to replace like all of the engineers or most of the engineers. Right. We don't think that's going to be the case, right? Like it's not. It's a tool like any other tool. It happens to be a really, really, really good and new tool. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're still going to need talented software engineers to like make sure that the security works, or that like the UX is good, like all that shit still has to get done. And I'm not like only a Sith deals in absolutes. I'm sure at one point the AI will get there. Who knows when? But right now we're not there. And none of the people I've talked to believe that we're going to be there in 5 to 10 years. Like we will be there eventually. But like full on, just like replace everyone at a business is not in the next decade. I don't think.
I don't think so either. And I think for me, whenever you first join in, you're just like, it's a whole new world. So you kind of just go to like, holy crap, this is going to take over everything.
Yeah, I can do anything.
And then you kind of start doing it to like, oh shoot, I'm like very limited in what my like abilities are. And then like you kind of get into this plate of like, oh, this is actually a really good augment. But if you give that to like your CTO, gosh, geez, do they go way fast?
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Absolutely
like,
crazy.
Talented people are going to accelerate. I think we have like 2 to 5 years to like for those people to build businesses that then get bought by giant corporations.
Correct.
That's what I hope happens. I hope Amazon buys us.
Yeah. Same exact thing. I was like, I hope Discord buys what we're doing. So like, yeah, in terms of like a lot of that kind of comes down to, and I think, you know, Mako and a lot of the things that you guys are working on as well too is just like really freaking cool. And I actually do like the agency to bootstrap model. And that's kind of something that we've like talked about a lot within like Wolves as well too. It's just like, do we run like agency stuff to be able to bootstrap after like our runway, like, you know, eventually like goes out. And it's just like something that I think, to your point about like the way that people talk and the way that people work with each other, that is something that will kind of, I think, also become something, or like bootstrap, like you do a service-based stuff to be able to have a service or to have a product. I think is going to be very prevalent in the next like few years as well too.
And I think by the way, I'm almost positive. I'd have to double check, but I'm almost positive we're using your product in Mako. I know we're using it in the 100x Discord.
Oh, really? Nice.
But yeah, I'm excited to start digging into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. It's really good, and I'll kind of give you a spiel of what's coming next as well too later on. But yeah, man, it's been a really good time, and I like love you to death, and I think I just believe in what you're doing, and you know, like you said, you can't teach like grind, you can't teach hustle, and you definitely have it, and it's somebody that I always respected for you, that you're always going to be moving. So I really, really love you, man, and can't wait for what's next. And I definitely need to check out Mako yet. I know that you sent it to me yesterday night. I just have not gotten it. Oh, yeah. I've been like moving and all that stuff too. But
you're running a business. I appreciate you though, man. I love you too. You're one of my best friends, and I really love hanging out with you and getting. Wish we still work together. But
yeah, same. We will. I think we will. I think like, you know, one of those things that's like, it's just seasonal, right? And I think that's the one thing about the beautiful thing about the model in which that you're kind of talking about. It is more bartering. It's like, hey, like I don't need wheat right now. But whenever 100%. I do need wheat, I will come to you and we could trade for
I know who grows the wheat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we'll do some Settlers of Catan type of thing. But like, I think it's just where a lot of the future is going to. And I think a lot of people are going to move to that because, unfortunately, there is a lot of things that are getting disrupted with AI. You know, like it's like the TurboTax accountant type of thing, you know? It's like, man, like probably a lot of accountants like lost, you know, maybe you don't need 3 accountants anymore. You just need 2 because TurboTax took 1/3 out. It's probably the same thing with AI as well too. So anyways, man, I want to have you on again whenever you guys are closer to like launch after that CTO says like, hey, have you like, it's time, you know, the CEO says it. But anything in closing remarks, where can people find you? What is maybe the next thing that like people can check out for you that like you definitely are like, hey, like I want people to see this and show up for it.
So definitely check out Mako.ai. Go make some animations and try to make a game. Hit us up if you have any questions. We're hanging out in the Discord 12 hours a day.
Yeah, you guys are freaking crazy on the hours. It's freaking
it's
nuts.
so fun. And then on the Glitter Cloud side, I will say, just very, very fun.
Yeah,
we're launching a little game called Gnome Wars. It's a web-based shooter where you control little ceramic gnomes running around a garden, killing each other.
I need to play
we're launching that with B3. It's gnomewars.io. It's
okay.
I don't think it's playable right now. I think you can still sign up for early access. We put it up and just pulled it down with some issues, but
okay.
We're gonna launch in December, and we'll have all kinds of fun Web3 skins. We're doing a wolf skin. We're doing a penguin skin, and it's gonna be pay to spawn, kill to earn. So you pay $1, pay 50 cents, pay a dime, whatever, and you earn that same amount back when you kill someone.
Crazy. Dude, I love it. I wanted to play it, and I think I told you that to you too. So really excited about it. I need to talk to the B3 guys as well too, because like I do like a lot of the things that they're doing. And then just to kind of give some validation to Tony is like I just looked up the 100x like specific stats, 3,200 voice hours in the last 30 days. That's freaking stupid. That's a stupid amount.
Dude.
Yeah, that's a stupid amount. Definitely, you want that, and for like a culture and a community. It's freaking amazing to see that. So, like I said, I think 100x is like one of those like communities that is going to be popping off, and you just never know. But like that core to keep together and to be able to do that is like the most important. I think, what was it? Somebody said something about like all people want to do is like make money online with their internet friends, and that's really what it comes down to. It's a first principle.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, that is. I think that's the future.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyways, dude, I freaking love you. I will hit you up whenever either the No More stuff happens, but I really want you whenever you're back for like Mako. For that
when we publish our first game, I'll hit you up.
Please do. All right, buddy. I'll see you later, brother.
Peace.
All right. That is Tony V. Again, he's one of my dearest friends in Web3. There's just been a lot of times that I've called him and he's called me. And just like, sometimes you just need people that are in your stage of life. And like we both have kids, we have we've worked at companies. We understand like the bureaucratic thing. Like he's worked a whole bunch of creator campaigns. We kind of share like deal flow and all that stuff. And you just need those people in like your life. And definitely I'm so thankful that Tony's in mine. Great energy from Tony. And I know that wasn't part of like, just for everyone's like essay, me and Shasan do a whole bunch of research. And sometimes whenever a conversation starts going, like I just throw it out, which sucks for me and Shasan because we do like hours of research before the show and to be able to do that. So always shout out Shasan and everything that we're doing there. But like, definitely I am, whenever he was kind of talking about like the new stage of like where he thinks work will go, it's like so true in my opinion of like service-based specific ones. And it's just a really cool, it's a really cool thing in my opinion. So really, really excited about that. And I want to kind of look at something that I haven't found in a while. And so also guys, like I've been hitting up LordOfAFew or Loaf for a while. And it has not shown that it's seen. So we might be ending early today. So we'll see. I'll see if he shows up on time and if we'll kind of figure that out. But then I want to get to the EXO 402 on that. So really, really excited about that if he does show up. Yeah, Tony is the man. Doug Hype, you're also the man. Dude, Doug, I need to get you on here, dude. That'll be freaking fun. Bring the energy as well. What I want to do is also talk about a thing and a first principle that a lot of people have kind of talked about now. And I think this like really narrows down like crypto Twitter. And CK said it the best. He's like, there's a difference between crypto and crypto Twitter, right? Crypto Twitter is very much like, dang it. I don't know what his name is that has like this thing. Dang. I'm trying to find a person that kind of talks about like the first principles thinking of like. Yeah, I'm trying to find like and I forget what his name is too. He's like a person that, oh shoot. I'll try to find it. I'm trying to like find like the first principle that like a lot of the guys have talked about. I think also what CK was talking about with like status, and like that's like super big. Come on, where is it, dude? All right. And then tomorrow, guys, I actually have like a impromptu like live stream with the Clanosaurus guys. I'm really talking about like all of their things that they're building up. I think it's like Andrew Bozeman or something like that. Andrew Bozeman X. Dang, it's not. I'm like really trying to find him. And then I want to show it to you guys. Dun, 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 dun. Hopefully everyone's doing good as well too. Sorry, I'm really just trying to find him because I really want to get this like clip. I need to repost it too, so I can just find it on mine. Yeah. It's like talking a lot about just like the first principle thinking of what CK was saying, which is people either want power or status, or sorry, money or status. And if you can make them do both, then that is like what crypto Twitter is. And I think that's really, unfortunately, for some projects, it's very hard for them to swallow. It's very hard for them to understand that like that is just like what people want. And like they try to do all these consumer apps, at least for crypto Twitter, I should say. Consumer apps probably have different types of motivations, like especially like gaming. And I think that is something that like gaming ends up becoming pretty hard though. Is that you have like this long specific tail for development, but in the end, all people want to do is like either make money or gain status, at least on crypto Twitter. And so they focus on the wrong specific ones. I want cake, which means building relationships and culture with layers of goodness. Is that really what it means? Doug, freaking love you, dude. I want to see like what people like have when it comes to maybe. I don't think that's him. He was like, I think I was like at a capital firm or something. Sorry guys, I'm like scrolling just to kind of show you guys like what I'm looking at over here. I'm like scrolling on trying to find the I'm trying to scroll to find the quote that I want to speak to, which talks about this, and it's like a long time ago. It's not Andrew Forte, though I love him. Shout out. I really hope he didn't change his PFP because I'm kind of like looking at the PFP. And pretty much the quote was like making money online with your internet friends. And like that's pretty much all it is. No, it's not Andrew Soar. Shasan, thank you though. It's like it's talking about it's like a long time ago, dude. Like I think it was like back in like 22, so I should probably just like keep on scrolling. Yeah, let me try to find this thing real quick. Also, just want to make sure that. Boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. So looks like Loaf is coming soon. Super excited, and I'll find it. Obviously not while he's going, but then I do want to end with it. Because it's very interesting to me. Excuse me. Man, I'm so sad. I need to find it. Freaking need to find it. Dude, I'm so like it's gonna bother me all day. So I am gonna find it. I'm not ending the stream until I freaking find it. I've been searching this awkwardly. I need to find it. Shasan, read my mind. Help me. All right. Okay, guys. I think Loaf is in here, and then we will get to the interview, and then we'll wrap this thing up, man. Thank you guys for bearing with me on this one, for sure. All right, guys. I'll be right back. All right, what is up, guys? We have LordOfAFew, aka Loaf. And Loaf, actually, is that the reason why? Is because you're like a parent and stuff like that? You have kids? Like for me, I also am a Lord of the Few too. I have 4.
Yeah, there are a lot of a few.
Yeah,
you got 4. Oh wow.
Yeah, I got 4.
You've beaten me by 1.
Yeah.
But I no, actually, that I think I came up with that username just in the first 5 minutes of
that's awesome.
the Realms Discord before I even had kids.
It looks good.
So,
yeah, now you are a Lord of a Few. Like that was the thing that I was thinking about it whenever I was looking at your handle. I was like, I wonder if it's like more of like a parent thing, because I think that's really cool. I want to be called Lord of a Few as well.
Are we really lords over them? Or
Yeah,
are they lords over us?
True, right? Yeah, exactly. That is the truth. Yeah, we could have another 30-minute pod on parenting for sure. But maybe we did. Like one of the guys that I had for Alpha Wolves, we ended up kind of like having discussion and then kind of stayed for 5 minutes. I asked him a parenting question. We could do that as well too. But I do have a bio for you. I'll read it off. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I've done like my research on you, but please feel free to correct me if I do not. But okay, without further ado, few builders have lived the on-chain dream as full as Loaf. He helped turn a loot derivative called Realms into Eternum, one of the first fully on-chain MMOs. Then he asked a bigger question: what if the game played back? That curiosity led to Dojo, Eliza, and now Daydreams, a living framework where AI agents can think, act, and even pay for themselves using the new 402 protocol. While others chase AI hype, Loaf's busy wiring cognition and commerce into digital worlds that outlive their players. Realm Lord of a few, Loaf, welcome to Alpha Wolves, brother.
GM, good to be here, man.
Good to be here.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been. It has been.
Yeah.
And dude, we have so much to talk about. Like I told you, I told him a little bit offline on the Be Right Back screen, guys. I was like, dude, dove deep. Me and Shasan, who's like, he helps me with research. We were talking about like, okay, it was really cool to kind of talk about fully on-chain games, and we're going to talk about that. But then, dude, you were been like really a pioneer on the X402 payment protocol. And I was like, dude, this is so fascinating. So we're going to cover all of it today. So first, like, I really want to kind of cover like why you were so passionate on like fully on-chain games, and also maybe like having a counterpoint, because I think a lot of my specific sphere has been moving more off-chain, right? Of like, hey, maybe consumers are just like don't really care about on-chain games. Why does it matter? Okay, you know what? It didn't work. It's a failed experiment. Let's move on. Oh, so what's the case for you for fully on-chain games and moving?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been a long time crypto investor and kind of fooled around the space since like 2014, 2015. And, one of the things that originally drove me to this, the idea of blockchains and is that, they're like their single use case is to remove a trusted third party from any equation. And like, that's literally the reason why they exist.
Yeah.
That's why Bitcoin was created. That's why Ethereum was created for more use cases. Now we got like, a million blockchains doing, stuff, but like, and so that's kind of like really been my driving philosophy, and it's never really changed. It hasn't changed, right? And so like everything that I've ever tried to do in this space is like, I've tried to use that philosophy and to try to create something net new. And when it comes to gaming, gaming traditionally has really been, the three kind of party system where you have the two gamers and then you have a centralized server. And so, on-chain gaming is really the vision of like, well, let's just do everything peer-to-peer, and you remove that central server from the equation. Now that's like, that was really the driving factor. And then the origin stories of Realms, all came around loot, and loot was the idea of like the fully on-chain adventure bag, and we all know the story of that. And then around that time, Dark Forest was happening, and Dark Forest was like the OG.
Oh my gosh,
fully on-chain game.
that, dude. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
please.
And so basically at that time, when Dark Forest was happening, and then loot dropped, and I was kind of looking around, and that kind of like spawned the idea of like, well, let's like go a little further and like try to create like the loot on-chain game, fully on-chain game.
Right.
And then that went down like a pathway of okay, well, this is pretty fucking hard to do. And we tried to do it a few times, and then that kind of led from building it on Arbitrum initially, which didn't really work and sucked. And then not Arbitrum specifically, I just meant like the game, and the EVM was quite difficult to work with for games. So the game sucked. And then anyway, then we kind of when you push down the further down the game rabbit hole with on-chain games, you realize, well, when you're doing everything on chain, you want as much like computational overhead as possible. So like you can just like do as much as you want. You don't want to be constrained by anything. Otherwise you're limited to very like tight, very simple games. And so that kind of pushed down the path of like ZK and Stocknet, which has the, Stocknet kind of has this, different, it's got the car VM, which, allows for much more provable computation. So you could do much more kind of rich immersive things. And so then, for the last like, few years, myself and the cartridge, and the a Dojo ecosystem and the Realms ecosystem, and everyone around there, we've been pushing on this like idea and trying to build the tooling and helping developers and and games kind of realize that vision of like building these fully on-chain games using the Kari VM. But you know, back to like why my big bull case of like
Yeah.
fully on-chain games. You know, I'm always trying to figure out like a net new business model. Like I just think it's like if you're gonna make a game, like just go and make a game in Unity or Unreal and you know make it as best as you can and then sell it on Steam. Like you don't need to inject kind of like extra engineering or like blockchain stuff, like unless you're gonna go the whole way, in my opinion. And so you know, I'm like I mean I could go do that. But like, you know, I'm here to try to create something net new and try to create like net new business models, which I think there's a huge case for net new business models building fully on-chain games, but you kind of have to go the whole way.
Right.
You can't just go half-assed. And you know, one of these business models that I'm mega bullish on is that like, you know, blockchains really are like, you know, they're the escrow in the equation.
Right.
So when you you know, you get 100 people to play the game,
right,
and you know, and they all put up some stake to play the game, and then that stake gets put on the blockchain. It's not getting trusted with any third party or anything. And then whoever wins the game can, you know, take out, you know, their winnings from that that contract. And that's like that simple kind of like idea is like that's the game changer in like fully on-chain games, right? Because that's the thing that couldn't be done before.
Right.
Without like a massive like change in like massive company structures and everything and like you know so that's like and that little feature, like you can apply that to so many different games. And you know, and you got that, and then I mean another major thing is it's like it's impossible to cheat or like spoof the server, which is another major thing. It's like, you know, when everything is verified on chain, then like you can't hack it, you can't like spoof the server, you can't put in a cheat mode or anything. You know, the game is the smart contract, and the smart contract can't be hacked unless you're gonna hack the blockchain, but you can't do that. So you know, that it's like it's an anti-cheat. So it's anti-cheat in stakes. So like some of my two biggest features. And then you got all the other things like composability and whatnot. But those two things, I think, if you apply them to, you know, there's so many potential games that those two features could apply to. So
a quick double click into that, Loaf, is like the aspect of like maybe a lot of people will also say like those features can be in addition to like things that are currently like maybe running off chain. And is, I guess what I'm trying to understand is like, do you still think that like the graphical specific like interface and all that stuff can still be used in a, like, you know, off chain specific mechanisms? And then like the escrow contracts as well as because I agree with everything you just said, like, and those and I just want to give you flowers here because I haven't like really thought about it in that perspective. And it's a really cool perspective, and my gamer specific heart's kind of be like, oh, that's freaking cool, right? Anti-cheat and escrow contracts of like a pool of money is really dope. But you could also do that with, you know, you could put that onto like maybe a graphical interface that's off chain.
Yeah, well, I think so. There's a few things here. Is like, you know, the game itself isn't the kind of the visual like the visuals.
Right.
That's I mean, it is the game, but it's like that part doesn't need to be on chain. That's just like the client. That's the interface for the game. The actual game is living on the blockchain, and anyone can actually create an interface to interface with it because it's, you know, it's all open. So like, obviously, as a game developer of on-chain games, you need to make the client, and your client needs to be good. But like that isn't necessary. That's not the game. That's just how you're interacting with the game.
Right.
And so that part doesn't need to be on chain. And I think it's actually good for that part. You know, it doesn't have to be on chain because then you kind of create this. And you know, this is what's happening with Loot Survivor, and you know, which is a fully on-chain roguelike, which, you know, has gone through a bunch of iterations over the last 3 years. It kind of spawned out of the Realms ecosystem, and it's a dungeon crawler, roguelike fully on-chain dungeon crawler. And you know, in the early days, you know, we built a CLI interface to interface with it, which was just literally like a couple devs playing with it through a CLI, you know, in a terminal. And then we built the first client, and then that client spawned a bunch of other clients. And that was Loot Survivor 1, and now it's at Loot Survivor 2, which I suggest everyone go and play it. It's live now.
Please.
And it's just sick, and it's, you know, it's got an amazing client. The client's fully open source. You know, it's got incredible good tokenomics, how it all works with everything. But like, you know, it's also spawned a bunch of different clients. So like players have like forked the main client and made like their own versions of it that are actually better than the original client. And so you kind of get this like innovation on top of the game itself when you make the game open because it's on the blockchain.
Right.
And so that's like this like emergent feature that happens if your game gets traction. Obviously the game has to be good and people want to play it and people want to be encouraged to do it. But there's also because you're kind of, there's like this financialization to the game, and like you're kind of creating this like platform for people to actually build like mini businesses on top, because like if you're a developer and you'd be like, I can make a better client, you got to make a client, and then like you can actually get paid for that client.
Exactly, like mods.
So you're kind of
making
it's
giving the ability to be able to make mods, but also be able to really generate revenue off of it, right? Instead of like giving all of the value to that specific person. But you could also code that into it too, that like, hey, if you fork it, there's a fee to that. That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly how it works. It's like if you're every time, whenever someone uses your client, you basically get a fee. So so then when you kind of encourage the free market to build on things, like innovation and like iteration happens faster.
Right.
So like that's also only really possible when you do stuff fully on chain.
Yeah.
So there are these like there's these like features that like only exist when you go the full way, and like if you go the full way, you open yourself up to new business models. And I think like the problem with kind of Web3 gaming in the last like 5 years is that it kind of just got the VC kiss of death, and like teams got funded like massively overfunded.
Right.
And like I honestly don't even blame teams that have like been massively overfunded, then like their games failed, because it's like you should like you're kind of kissing it, like it's a kiss of death.
Right.
And you get this massive overhead, you get this massive you're expected all this stuff, but then your game falls flat, or like you've kind of created a hybrid Web 2, Web 3, but like no one's attached to it.
Right.
And then there's like so many cases of that. So yeah, I mean, it's just like
there is a lot of cases to it. I would like add on to that, like the kiss of death, like for VC stuff, is like the valuations kind of got out of control, right? Then everybody needed to be able to build things. Like how I kind of say it is like it's it was the opposite of Moneyball. Whenever we're at the stage of like where we're trying to do is like, hey, we should just get on base, which is like, hey, let's try to create new business models and iterate on top of that. To your point, you just said 100 people, right? Be able to like put it into an escrow contract. Whenever we had like the VC kiss of death, it was like, oh shoot, we need to be like $1 billion company because that's what VCs like invest in. And so like we need to go for like millions of people. Whenever like the tech
actually, gotta go the 100x.
Yeah, exactly. Which like actually the tech is actually really cool to like iterate on and actually make a lot of money for a small amount of people. Like how I've also seen some of like the the mechanisms of like smart contracts of like pretty much gating and all that stuff for transparency is like really honestly very innovative, right? And it's unfortunate that we kind of went that route where we also kind of lost our identity in the process. And it also got caught up in the crypto culture as well too. Crypto, I should say NFT culture. And a lot of that tactics that worked well with NFTs, we kind of seeped into Web3, and then we kind of lost a little bit of our identity in that. So I agree with you, in terms of
just to touch on that, what you just brought up around, like it's a, when you make a traditional game, you go and make a game for a couple of years, you get a small amount of funding, and then like you go and put it on Steam, and like some of them go like ridiculous numbers. They sell 60 million copies in like 2 weeks, and like that's the business model, right? It's like the game publisher Steam model, and it works really well. And I think that a lot of the teams that kind of came and built in this space, they didn't really have a business model. Like it was just like, oh, we're gonna raise money with a token, and then we're gonna sell the token, but like that's not really a business model or like real tokenomics. So I think a lot of people got tripped up on that. So it's like it comes back to the business model of like what you're trying to do, and I think with fully on chain, that unlocks new types of business models, and which you have to lean into. And I think we're starting to see them emerge. Loot Survivor is a solid case of that. Eternum, which is like this MMO, which we'll talk about, is like another case. But the sky's open for all these ideas.
Right.
But like you have to push on the right paths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to kind of know them too, right? Like, and I think that's one of the issues with people that have kind of gotten funded. And I agree with you too. I don't actually blame them. And to be honest, Loaf, I've worked for them, right? Like I've worked for those people because I thought the pedigree was like top notch, but like they did not actually understand the technology and what was capable of like doing it, right? Blockchain was more of a buzzword, not like a philosophy that they wanted to build around. And I think, when it comes comes down to it, like what, if you're kind of talking to somebody and you said like, I guess your pitch for like, hey, like if you are this type of builder or like want to push like on the edge of technology or whatever it is, like this is what is available to you to do. I want to reword that because I didn't do a very good job at wording it, but like, a lot of those people didn't like really believe in like a philosophy of like what blockchain could actually bring. And you already kind of touched on it with like the different business models, but is there anything else like maybe from somebody that like is a builder and is like, hey, should I go the traditional route or should I go like the blockchain route?
Yeah.
What is your case for them?
Yeah, I mean, like if you have a great game that like, I don't know, maybe it's like a roguelike game and like most of the mechanics are kind of like with some like you've got some incredible graphics and aesthetics and all this stuff, and like it's running well, or like you have an idea for that, then like if you chuck blockchain in the mix, you're just like over engineering. Like there's probably you probably can create an incredible business just with that game, and just sell it on Steam, right? And like you don't need to chuck the complexity and all the nonsense that comes along with it.
Yeah.
You just go and do that. But like if you want to push on like an emergent type of business model where like there's interesting tokenomics where gamers can actually like truly own part of like the economy, but like in a real way. And then like and like you have an interesting idea for a game that's like the entire game can actually fit on the blockchain. So that's actually the constraint, right? So you can't put like FPS and stuff on chain,
right?
But like you can put like speed chess and type games, anything that comes along with that, or Forex and or like dungeon crawlers and stuff,
right?
And so like there is a limitation, and so you need to understand a limitation of what you're trying to do before you start building. And like if you don't want that limitation, then just go build a regular game. But if you want to push on the limitation and like explore a new business model, I think there's a massive opportunity. Then like push on fully on-chain games. So
I agree. It's so cool because like I don't know, it's if I'm being honest with you, Loaf, it's like something I've kind of had this wonder back in 2021 2022 of like a lot of the things that you're kind of saying, and you're kind of like rejiggering it out of me again because like I kind of like swallowed the Kool-Aid in a lot of ways, right? Like of like, hey, like maybe you could just like have like crypto light or blockchain light, right? And like have all of these things like, and I have seen like some successes in it. Like there's FIFA rivals and all that stuff, but that abstract it completely away, but you're just generating fees and you're just using it as like a way to be able to do trade, which is still like a cool piece of technology. But what you're saying is like, now like be a freaking maverick and be badass and like, why don't you go push the boundaries? You know what I mean?
Go push the boundaries. Because it's going to be like, it's engineeringly, it's like, it's a hard engineering problem, right? It's like, it's not an easy, like, it's not like it's a different set of challenges. Like building any game is going to be hard,
right?
But like building fully on-chain games is like, it's a different level. It's a different type of hard. It's still both pathways are going to be hard, but like it's just it's a new pathway. That's really exciting to explore. Because there is, I think it's there was looking back, there was like a crazy hype cycle around all things gaming,
right?
On-chain games kind of went through a trough,
right?
Of disillusionment, and we kind of on the, we're on the plateau of enlightenment right now. And I think it's just taken a while for the technology to kind of catch up, and like to be honest, the technology wasn't even there to like make these really deep, good immersive experiences. And now now it's evolving at a rapid pace. You can do more stuff on chain. It's faster. There's like kind of more infrastructure around it with like Dojo and cartridge to make kind of like the UX like smooth and stuff. So the tech's there now. Now's the time to build it. And there's actually a hackathon coming up in a couple of days.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
Dojo.
Yeah, please tell me about that before we move
so,
on.
I mean, if you
I do want to talk about what you're kind of currently doing right now.
Just to wrap, there's a Dojo game jam in a couple of days. So go and check out the Ohio Dojo Twitter handle, and you'll find details. And then just register and try to build something. And my advice for builders would be, don't try to build an FPS or try to build something way complex. Go and look at like go and look at game theory on Wikipedia, and then try to like smash two game theory ideas together into a game.
Cool.
And you can actually do that pretty quickly and come up with something that's like interesting. So
very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Anyway. Any other like, okay, before we move on, because I want to talk about the 402 stuff. Well, I also want to talk about some other stuff too, but the one thing that you have talked about is like FPS and stuff like that. Is there any genres that like fit, like as you've seen right now, fit really well in terms of on-chain games, but also ones that completely don't work well, or like, hey, that's a stretch? Like, I
Yeah.
know FPS is a stretch and all that stuff, but like, is there anything that worked really well and like what really doesn't?
I mean, I think that kind of the strategy games work really well.
Right.
So, like like 4X civilization
Yeah,
style
yeah, yeah.
games, because it's kind of like it's like turn-based, but it's kind of like a real-time turn-based. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like speed chess. And like you take the idea of speed chess and just like turn that into like a billion
Cool.
different strategy games. So
Yeah.
it's like I think that works really well. As it's like it has a lot of depth and like a lot of longevity. So which is what I really like. So it's a lot of replayability and a meta evolves and stuff.
Cool, cool.
And then there's like roguelikes, which I think work really well.
Yeah.
As well. So those are the two kind of big categories. But I mean, anything, it's just the only constraint is like you can't, you're not going to get sub 100 millisecond response times,
Right.
and like the game can't be reliant on that response time, which is like it is in an FPS. It's like you just get screwed if you got ping
Yeah.
in FPS. Whereas like, the ping is going to be a second or 2 seconds. So like you have to build any game that
Right.
doesn't affect the gameplay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Very cool, very cool. Okay. Okay, through all of this journey, like you kind of went from like Realms, Dojo, Cartridge, but like one thing that like really stuck out to me was like the leap from like the Cartridge and like on-chain games, and you're still there, obviously. You're very involved, as you said, like there's a game jam coming up, but it's also like the AI type of integration with it, right? So like one of the things I was reading about you was that like there was like deterministic, not deterministic, it was the opposite of deterministic. Like you attached like different types of AI like agents inside of like on-chain games and NPCs that like can actually have like consciousness, and also now with 402 payment protocol can like spend like, dude, that was like, I was freaking out. Like, what is this? Like, can you like give me like a little bit more of like a crash course? Cause for a smooth brain like me.
Yeah, sure. But so yeah, so I mean I've been fooling around with AI for a long time. Ever since like GPT-3 came out.
Yeah.
Was really kind of the inception of like, when things started to get serious.
Right.
In the that was only like 2.5 years ago.
Crazy, right?
3 years ago. Crazy. Absolutely crazy times in the last 3 years. Like everything has been flipped upside down. In the next 5 years is going to be another craziness. But anyway, that's a whole other hour discussion.
Yeah.
But
which I want to put on the books.
Yeah, just specifically in like gaming. So I was like pushed down a path of like, I tried to make agents actually like 3 years ago to play games, and that was like failed because the models weren't good enough.
Right.
Like the way to design agents wasn't quite there, and the context window, which is like how much kind of short-term kind of consciousness you could give the agent, in a sense, just it wasn't big enough. So like it just made nothing was there. Right. Anyway, so I think there was a line that was crossed about 18 months ago. I think GPT-4 with like like a more robust frameworks and bigger context windows, where like it started to become possible for agents to do slightly more things than what they could. And so that kind of led me down a path of trying to do that, which led me down a path of like I was one of the kind of the early big contributors of Eliza, and then off the back of that, I thought I tried to kind of push in a slightly different direction, where I tried to design a framework called Daydreams, which was focused on kind of long context horizon agents. So like agents that could do complex tasks over long periods of time.
Wow.
And that's like quite a difficult challenge. And like still no one has really nailed. That's like still the frontier of like agent design. And I can come back to why.
Please do.
And so,
please do.
Yeah, that was like, and so then that kind of led to kind of pushing on that direction for a while. And we actually, in March, we put Daydreams agents inside of Eternum, which is this big, I haven't really talked about it much, but it's this big 4X strategy game. It's kind of like real-time civilization.
Yeah, that was actually the reason why I reached out to you. I thought it was really cool on X, and then I was like, that was it. But again, I ran through all of your history. I was like, dude, this guy's freaking badass.
Well, we'll touch on that in a second as well. But so within Eternum, which is like, it's kind of like, imagine it like a big hex world, and it's like civilization, but it's real time, and you kind of have stamina, and you build up these places called realms, and the realms generate resources. So it's kind of a resource management. You have to trade between them, and then you build armies, and you try to conquest the map, and you try to hold these big buildings called hyperstructures, which give you victory points. And it gets like absolutely crazy because it can scale to like, in theory, we've designed it so it can scale to like 1,000 people at once. So you can have this like 1,000-person battle royale, and like you can put whatever like stake you want on it. So like you'll be able to create a custom game where you'd be like, okay, it's $100 buy-in, you know, and winner takes all, and then it's just like there's 1,000-person just battle royale for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy. And so when that's actually the current iteration back in March.
Yeah.
It was a bit longer. The game actually went for 2 weeks. So that's, I mean, that's another story in game iteration. But the one back in March, we actually decided to put Daydreams agents inside of it, and when we did that, because like when you put like non-human actors inside of a game, it like adds to like the entropy of the game. So it like adds more like all this non-deterministic energy into the game. And so the game can like evolve in ways that like the developer doesn't even know what's going to go on.
Yeah, more battle royale, more like in terms of like a roguelike. It's like it changes, you know, the different types of mechanisms in which that you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's also unpredictable. Like it's not determined. Like, and even as the developer, you don't know what's going to happen because like LLMs can be unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so like maybe an LLM goes rogue and just starts killing everyone.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, maybe it just doesn't, it's passive and just like, you know, just dies. I don't know. Like it's like this, you don't know what's going to happen, which is why it's interesting to kind of put them in games, because like you kind of want to put them in games because it makes the game way more interesting.
Right.
And so that was a good experiment. We had about 1,000 in there. And you could kind of like talk with them and kind of like collude with them to tell them to attack another person, if you kind of convince them. And so that was like an early version of Daydreams, and like it worked. I mean, there's a lot of improvement to do, to be honest. And like I think, I mean, in terms, just coming back to AI specifically, like the way that you design agents for like that type of task has changed in the last like 3 months even. It's like 9 months ago, what we did was like totally obsolete. So we're gonna redo. We're gonna do the whole thing. We're gonna like do a new iteration of it.
Is there anything that you can like other than like maybe your learnings? Like, is there anything you could like transfer over, or is it?
Oh yeah. There's a lot. There's obviously, I mean, everything's learnings.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's all iteration, and but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, so that was kind of the early versions of Daydreams.
Right.
Pushing on this like long content, and one of the kind of the use cases that we're pushing on is like, you know, like the financial agents and like agents that could do tasks and stuff. And then X402 appeared like in March, pretty much, March or April. I think it was maybe May. But then that was kind of like what X402 is. Everyone obviously has just discovered what X402 is. But like like X402 is actually the simplest crypto like kind of thing that's ever come out. Like because it's not on a blockchain. All it is like, so whenever you send a message on the internet, so like where we're speaking right now, or you send something on Discord or Telegram or something, or you click a website, everything is done through HTTP, which is like the internet protocol. And within HTTP, you can like send these things called headers, and headers are like, can be like random bits of information. And then the server can interpret the header, and the little bit of information. And so what X402 does is that it basically just sends like a signed payment request, signed payment authorization in the HTTP header. So like everything on the planet right now is already connected to HTTP. Like anything that's on the internet has HTTP connected. Cool. So like now all it takes to kind of incorporate X402 into like your product is a couple lines of code.
Sick.
And someone, and then obviously the seller has to sign a message. So they have to sign like a, you know, they can sign a Solana message, a Starknet message, an EVM message, or whatever blockchain you want. And that message basically says, I authorize this service that's going to be consuming it on the kind of server side to kind of accept that payment. And so like it's like this micropayment promise where, you know, you can sell API requests for like a cent, and it's totally gasless because like it's just stable coins or any token you want. But there is one other kind of party in the equation called a facilitator, which actually settles the transaction. And so the buyer and the seller don't need any gas, but the facilitator needs gas to settle it. And so it's kind of like this 3 kind of party system. But that's like going to evolve into like more of a decentralized way, I think. So there's going to be like lots of facilitators around that like serve different purposes, that are going to be like highly highly optimized for specific areas and whatnot. But that simple like idea of just like sending payments over HTTP basically unlocks like payments for every part of the economy, like not just crypto, into the real world, like everywhere. So like one of the you know, like one of the things that I keep coming back to and I keep talking about is like, which I'm not sure, I mean, anybody that's tried to like run a business, you know, with a payment processor understands this.
Yep.
But like, you get charged, 1 to 3%, on Stripe, Shopify.
Exactly.
I mean, Shopify charge a bit more because they got other services.
Right.
And then if you go to like a coffee shop and you buy $10, you buy a coffee and you cross on or whatever, like that merchant's paying 3% of that.
Right.
So like if you extrapolate that over a whole year,
It's a lot.
they're paying 3% of their entire revenue to the bank.
Right.
And that could be 30K, and then their entire net profit might be 100K.
Right.
So they're paying 30% of their entire net profit straight to the bank.
Yep.
And so like one of the use cases that I see with X402 is like basically replacing all these payment rails with this type of system, and which I think is exactly what's going to happen. And so like that's when an A16Z came out with that $30 trillion number.
Yeah.
Like that's what they were kind of implying is like,
wow,
this isn't just for the internet. This is like the entire economy is going to kind of be pushed down this type of payment rail. And it might not be exactly what X402 is, but it's the idea of sending payment, like signed payments over HTTP, is the unlock here. I mean, even Stripe are coming up with their own version of X402.
Right. And Stripe is very brilliant. I think like out of everybody,
they're brilliant.
They kind of did Privy as well too. Like
they see it.
They
know exactly what's coming. They know exactly what's coming, and they're trying to own a piece of it. So they got their own blockchain.
Right.
They're gonna have their own competing standard. But I, just touching on like standards and agents and stuff.
Yeah.
Is like and like crypto wallets and all this like kind of UX that we kind of have built. Like agents don't give a shit about any of that. They just want they don't care, and they can just get whatever they want when they want.
Right.
Because like they don't care about a user interface or like a user experience. They just want data. They see the data, they can use the data. And so like they'll have wallets everywhere. They'll be able to, pay with any type of payment protocol that they want. They're not confined to anything. Crazy. And so all that complexity around like blockchains and stuff is totally abstracted away in kind of an agentic world. So
it's crazy. Dude, I am such a smooth brain on this. Like I'm so thankful that like you kind of came on, and also thank you for also like bringing it down to like you're obviously very brilliant because like you're breaking it down to even my understanding. I would say that like I think the one thing that like I guess is scary for me is like the agent world of like do I give them like limits on like what they can spend or whatever. Like let's just say I own like an agent, right? And then like they get they get like convinced or something, or like hey, like you did a task that like I did not want, then it's just like got kind of gone.
Well,
like, what does that kind of like look like for
that's
for
the
that
challenge, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying about how most agents are kind of shit right now, because they are, they're like there's still so many like challenges that we face in terms of like designing high quality agents that don't just fall flat. I mean, and I mean that's going to come down to like agent design more than anything, and like how they interpret kind of the data, like whether it's an X402 resource or whether it's like interacting with GitHub or Telegram or whatever. Like you need to give the agents the tools at the right time in their kind of cycle.
Right.
And then it's like, then all that kind of task is pushed over to the large language model.
Yeah.
And then the large language model needs to interpret properly. And so large language models are still like kind of fall flat sometimes.
Right.
I mean, GPT-5 is like insanely good.
Yeah.
And like it's the next, it's the next iteration of LLM. Same with like, I mean, it's the best now. But Google's going to come out with Gemini 3. It might change the game again. Who knows? Like it might like be another step up on GPT-5, and then we're like, okay, now we can build these agent systems that do like crazy shit. Like it's so like we're close. Like we're on the cusp of like, and this isn't like Skynet. Skynet's not even close to being here.
Yeah.
But like just like massive productivity unlocks from like 99% of AGI is here. It's basically here now.
Yeah.
It's just like you gotta like, if you know it, like the future is going to be dominated by people that know how to wield like armies of agents to do their biddings. Like and it's whether it's a coding agent or whether it's like a research agent, and you just have a fleet of them.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the things that we're building with Daydreams is basically that like management platform that allows you to like track and like trace like the profitability of each one of your agents. So like you can see what resources they've pulled with X402, and you can see how much money they made from X402. And so agents, you can think of agents as kind of like the new app. And the web is like the Apple App Store.
That's a good way of putting it. Yep. I never thought about it that way until you brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of X402, and then I do also have a parenting question for you as well, because you're definitely in all of this as well with me. But in terms of X402, like, does it just have to be like agents? I'm just like also, Yeah,
No,
and
not at
that's
all.
like that's what I was catching because like I thought X402 like and again this is just me just reading things on crypto Twitter, so not actually digging deep. So like
Crypto
X4
Twitter.
yeah, exactly. Like I am guilty. I'm like the 99% of everybody else that makes this place the worst place on earth. But in terms of the X402 like payment protocol, like you're saying that this could also disrupt like the you know the 30 trillion number from A16Z. Like, and you're saying that a sign transaction like from like me, like I'm sending it over to them, and then it pretty much bypasses a lot of the complications that really make the charge of the 1 to 3% fee possible. Am I reading that back right to you, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just for agents. It's for literally any payments. Yeah, you're right.
Sick.
It's
Okay.
like
That's crazy.
it's not just agents. It's like agents. You know, I think you know it's basically any value transfer could be done through this, and it's probably going to be done on a lot of different blockchains. But like it's not going to matter. And so like all the throughput that we've created with L2s and everything is going to get consumed by this, I reckon. Because it's just because like, you know, it's just like whenever the technology happens, like you need uptake in adoption, and like your uptake in adoption is like kind of a measure of like how successful it's probably going to be. And like the reason why X402 kind of has had massive uptake quickly is because of its simplicity of like, you can just like, if you have an API service that's selling something right now, outside of AI, outside of anything, and you just have like some valuable bit of data, you can, you know, you'd be able to put on X402 rails in a day and then serve it up to people. Crazy. So like that's how quickly you can adopt it. And so, and that simple adoption speed is why it's kind of gone bananas. I mean, Cloudflare's adopted it, you know, Stripe, Shopify, you know, everyone's going to adopt this rapidly. I mean, AWS is probably going to put, I mean, I've been banging the drum about this, but like all AWS resources, all web resources, like it's all going to come and be paidable by X402. So
this is insane.
yeah, and then agents are just like the other thing, like on top of that, because like we'll be having agents to do things for us.
Right.
Then that's where the agent commerce comes in, because like, you know, agents need to be able to pay for stuff without creating an account, which is like, you know, which is what X402 enables, because like your agent can just like go and pay for it, find a service and pay for it.
Is coming from is it enables that, but I did not know the underlying like, you know, adoption curve that kind of is the reason why it is, and so thank you for enlightening me on that. Do you have room for one more question? I know we're at time.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I do have one more question. It's about parenting, because it seems like you're a very brilliant individual. It also seems like you care for your kids a lot. Just by the way that you're talking, is like, how do you raise like kids in like this era, right? Like you said, like GPT-3 was like only 2.5 years ago. One of the things that I'm like, as a parent, and I'm talking to my kids, is like the feeling of like, what are the things that I need to instill into them? Right? Like, you know, we all got the thing of like, hey, you're not gonna have a calculator in your pocket. It's like, yeah, you're right, teacher. Now I have a supercomputer in my pocket, right? Like there's all of these things that, you know, I think my like flags are going up as a parent of like, how do I actually guide my kids in this new era that's coming? Have you ever thought about that? And you know,
I mean, that's the question of our age, to be honest. Is you know, how do we you know, I mean, I think AI is going to like reduce the marginal cost of all goods. I remember reading a book like in 2012 around like, it's called A Zero Marginal Cost Society. Basically like predicts kind of what the impact of what AI will do. I don't know, around that time. Anyway, but like you could think of like, and I think this is important for the question, is like when like the cost of goods and like the cost of like things and doing things is basically zero, well then what happens to the economy? Right. And like I don't think anyone has really answered that question concisely. And you know, there's things like universal basic income that comes into the question and stuff, but like I think that's kind of half baked. And so then the question becomes like, well, if you don't have to work, how do you get fulfillment? And and like I think that's a, you know, I mean personally, like what I do is like a lot of my free time, you know, I'm like, I read a lot of history. You know, I loved it, and it's like history is like such a deep subject. You know, just like studying like individuals from the past, and there's so much to learn from doing that actually teach you about the future, if you push on that. And so I think that like, you know, funnily enough, like I think that humans should go back to like studying more arts and history and stuff, and sciences, rather than pushing down like financial avenues, because everyone's kind of in this rat race being like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked if I don't like make enough money for my family, which is the truth,
So
right?
true.
And so like
Yeah.
is an economic problem where like we're kind of pushed down this pathway, but like like the society, like what we've built, humans have built, is like incredible, and like we've done so many amazing things, terrible things in the past.
Yeah.
But like everybody needs to understand this, and like I think if everybody understands this, and then also like understands the universe through science and physics and stuff, then like it'll help us like build further into the future, past this like post kind of like kind of capitalist phase. Like I'm talking kind of like I don't know when this is going to happen,
Yeah.
but like if we push down the path where like AI does kind of drop the marginal cost of things to basically to zero, then like there'll be way more kind of efficiency. There'll be way more things. We'll solve way more hard problems, but like, there's going to be less and less for humans to do.
Yeah.
And so this idea of just like jobs is just kind of like redundant.
Yeah.
And so we have to fill that equation. And our kids, I'm sure your kids are probably the same age as mine.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have like it's gonna be hard. That's probably when they're gonna hit their kind of adulthood. I suspect in like 18 years or so.
Exactly.
And like and that's like so far from now.
Yeah,
So I think that the most important thing that I'm going to teach my kids is like just teach them about the the universe, like, or the history of humans, civilization, and philosophy and all this stuff, and just give them a broad knowledge of it all.
Right.
And I think if you have that knowledge, then you're fine.
Right.
And you also have to understand economics, and like economics comes into that, and it's a big equation
Right.
to all of that. But like I think if you instill that into them, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
it's a good point as well too. It's one of my favorite questions to ask to parents.
Yeah.
Because I know all of us think about it, especially in like this specific sector. Is like, dude, I see what's coming, and I am wrestling with what I want to do from a parenting perspective, or even from like kids that we like want to mentor or anything like that. It's like, to be honest, I'm very much in the camp of like what you're saying is like, I used to laugh at gen eds, and I'm just like, oh shoot, like that's actually probably one of the major things that kind of keeps in like history and different types of things, and curiosity, like keeping curious, and
exactly. It's about being curious about anything, and I think that's the most important. That's the most important thing that I think any parent can do to instill into a kid. It's just like never lose that curiosity around a new subject, because like we also like we've discovered 1% of the universe, probably like like the understanding of it. There's so many things we're missing in physics. There's so many things we're missing in science, and like in biology and stuff. And like I think we need the entire collective human brain power, like 7 billion people harnessing like AI and just like pushing on the hardest problems. And like it's like it sounds like science fiction, but like then pushing out into like into space. Like that's where we're destined. Like
for sure.
We need to do it. And we're on the cusp of it. We just got to solve the energy problem. We got to solve like the social problem of AI. And like they're big problems that I think it's going to be messy. But I don't know. We'll probably get there.
Dude, dude, this conversation was so good, man. I really do appreciate the time that you gave me, and also just it's the first time, like, for people that to know as well too. It's the first time that me and Loaf were talking.
Yeah, it's the first time we chatted.
And it obviously the connections and the fire was there. It was just really pleasant, and also just thank you for being humble enough, and also like not degrading me in terms of like asking the questions and like the general surface questions. And so I would love to have a round 2 with you on a lot of these things as you do it, and maybe we can time it with something that you're launching with Daydreams and stuff too, so you have more of an option. But where can people find you? Where can people like partner with you and be a part of the road path that you're going on?
The road path. I like that. Just DM me on Twitter or Telegram or Discord. I mean, the handles the same across all of them.
Nice.
It's just LordOfAFew. So
nice.
Yeah. But no, I really appreciate it. It's been great to chat, man.
Yeah, it was great to chat. Well, thank you, Love, and I appreciate you, buddy. And I'll hit you up on DMs a little bit later as well too to thank you. All right, man.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one.
Catch you later. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was LordOfAFew. And dude, what a banger, dude. I don't know who else is left here, but like that opened up my eyes. Like, I think this is what the show has like really done for me. And it's been something that like I've been, dealing with for the last like probably 1.5 to 2 years. I was kind of stuck in like being in a way like just solely focused on like Web3 gaming, And I think a lot of my friends were like kind of saying like, Peyton, like, you know, you used to be different. You know, you used to like, you know, think about things and write about things and do a whole bunch of things. And I think for me, it's just like this kind of new age of like kind of reclaiming a lot of my curiosity. I think what ended up happening was that I was very curious about like Web3 or in crypto, right? So I come in and then I get all tossed around with, well, so just some lore about me. So history wise, like I went into learning about blockchain as a technology. So I was a very anti-blockchain person at first. And so I used to watch Dave Lee on investing. He used to interview everybody that I respect now from a person like content creator perspective. From there, going into the space myself, blockchain, really thinking about the different sense of like, you know, settlements and different types of blocks and like being very fascinated with that specific knowledge. And then smart contracts was something that I was like, oh, this is really cool. Then I got into NFTs, and then I kind of got into this like NFTs Web3 gaming sector in which that like I was very like engulfed into greed. If I'm being like really honest. And that was like pretty much overtook a lot of it. And like greed, not in a bad way, but like we all are gonna make it, right? Like, or like I'm trying to do as little work as possible to make as much money as possible. And then like if I invest into a meme token, that's like where I will like, you know, eventually do. And you kind of get into this specific thing. And like, to be honest, it's like, it's very hard to even think of like not doing that because like, that's like a lot of my friend groups and all that stuff. But like, you know, even like wolves are just such curious people. And it's like the one thing that I like love about wolves is that they were just like so curious. And I think for me, my curiosity just kind of like ended within like Web3 gaming. And I just kind of like ended up being very responsible to like Web3 gaming as a person that is going to be somebody that covers it, somebody that like does this. I want to champion specific builders and champion stuff. And I lost like my curiosity for other things other than, you know, just gaming. Because I also rekindled, there's a whole bunch of things of like rekindling my love for games and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. But then into now where I started Alpha Wolves, I'm just like, dude, it's so fascinating. Like I'm so fascinated every single week of like people that are like understanding their niche and just like what they've developed. And it just has sparked this new like hunger and learning. I don't know if you're doing it, Shasan. I know you might be the only one that's here left with me in chat, but like it has sparked something in me of like a curiosity, a longing for knowledge, and a longing for more, I should say. And I'm not saying that I'm like leaving Web3 gaming. Like that is not what I'm saying. Is just like that there is more things than Web3 gaming. Like I'm always going to be a champion. I'm going to talk to freaking 50 founders in crypto gaming. I'm literally like Loaf is one of them as well too. But it's just like this beauty of like understanding and being curious on every little thing is just fascinating to me. And I finally got that back, and I didn't know it was gone. Sometimes you don't know it's gone until you get that feeling back. And man, it's special. Shasan saying, you know, history is awesome and kind of running in reverse. We're going from closed borders to open internet, centralization to decentralization, gold to BTC, Great Depression to Great Inflation. Now, so many parallels. Shasan, dude, you're so brilliant, dude. You're such a brilliant dude. And then Drew, love you, brother. Lau here again. Shasan, definitely inspiring when I read and research about all these guests. Yeah, man. And I think that's really what I want to go to. Like, do we go farther? Like, do I ping like more people from like my military friends, right? And you know, do I talk about them? I don't know if I can talk to them about the stuff that they're doing, but it's very fascinating to me to talk about all these kind of things. And yeah, I just want to just talk to people and yeah, just be a professional yapper. But yeah, then, you know, is that what I contribute to society? I don't know. Obviously, I also want to do a product with Kazuna, obviously. So Yeah. Cool. Yep, guys. That's a wrap. I think I was going to say something about, oh, wait, I forgot. I also forgot. No, I'm trying to find the quote, Shasan. Thank you. I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Yes, I found it. His name is Reagan Bosman. Let's go into it. Fine a freaking Lee. So, anyways, he was kind of talking about like the current structure of token launches is feeding a down-only paradigm where prices will get wrecked. Token launches at high FTV, slowly bleed out as airdrop recipients sell, and then collapse as VCs unlock, right? So this is back from like April 19, 2024. Really called the top in terms of like the FTV specific cycle. This is kind of like everything that, you know, trust me, we've seen this chart more than most, even including like our freaking team. It's crazy. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. SVC Steam's call sell on is not always a. Let's just read the whole thing, if you guys bear with me. All right, so always describe worst case scenario for team's token trajectory as the ICP chart. If your token price looks like this, you know you're messed up long term. Flexibility can be a beautiful thing. The protocols and price go up, help catalyze a real community's developer ecosystem, but the reverse is also true and can be brutal. Let me see what this is. Okay, I don't know too much about that. Let's quickly define a few things before I ramble further. There are two main measures of token supply: circulating supply and fully diluted supply. For people that don't know, it's like the, you know, circulating supply is all the tokens that are currently in circulation that it is able to be traded, and then fully diluted supply is the what the max token will be. And there's a lot of things too, of like circulating supply is not the best like metric for circulating supply, because the way that like some of these major specific ones talk about, like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, they actually do not think of like staking or team wallets, even if they're not completely unlocked or completely locked in a smart contract, as locked tokens. That they're not going to do it, when that's not really the case. There's rugs all the time. All right. Anyway, circulating supply increases over time until it equals fully diluted supply. Yep. For example, we all understand that. Market cap equals circulating token supply price, fully diluted valuation, fully diluted price. So market cap equals circulating token supply price times price, fully diluted supply times price, which does not always mean the same thing, because you're not putting the demand in the same area. So demand for the fully diluted doesn't also necessarily mean the right thing. To steal Kobe's idea, market cap is a measure of demand, while FTV is a measure of supply. Yeah, perfect. That's a way better way of what I just said. Market cap is a total value of public demand, and it rises and shrinks with price action. Assuming decent liquidity, it is a reliable metric. And what they mean by decent liquidity, there's a lot of market makers, there's a lot of different types of things, but the amount of liquidity is the amount of like trading of hands that are happening, in which that you can see the actual demand. So if it's a very low volume, then it doesn't really move too much, and so it's just a spike of like demand, not actually if there's demand for the product, if that makes sense, and the product being the token right now. FTV increases as market cap increases. Both metrics are based on the current market token price. However, market cap going up does not mean there is additional demand for these locked tokens. Correct. So what he's saying is that there is, as market cap goes up, there's a current demand for the current like tokens that are currently happening and circulating, but does not mean that there is going to be a demand for the future unlocked token price. So for being very simple here, locked tokens today and the price is there, locked tokens tomorrow, price might not be there because of the fact that there is more supply in the market. Not just that, is there demand for that supply? Probably not. It's also why you see a whole bunch of sell-offs. And holders of locked tokens may in fact be happy to sell at much lower prices. So FTV can be widely an accurate metric of true network value. Highly recommending reading the whole thing, which is Kobe's Substack here. Which, for people that are not familiar with tokenomics, like holders locked tokens, they usually get it at a very like discounted price or over-the-counter prices. And so what over-the-counter prices are is that they buy it and then they lock it up or they vest it for a short amount of time. So let's say that the current price is $1. They say, hey, I'm taking a risk here because I'm vesting it up. I will buy X amount of supply, let's just say 1% of the supply, which rarely happens, 1% of the supply for, 80 cents. And so what they're saying, and this happens, but it's also like VCs happen as well too, where holders of like locked specific ones, so FTV can be widely inaccurate a metric for truly network value because they are willing to sell it lower, which then drives down the price. And this is the whole thing for people that are NFT guys. This is the whole thing with the collab managers that get paid in NFTs, but then like dump on the specific stuff because there's not enough volume because they got those for free as payment and they're willing to sell it at 0.05 when everyone's holding out 0.1 because the mint price was 0.03, right? Because they got a whole bunch for free. There is a meme that FTV is a fact meme because some tokens trade such wild FTVs, WorldCoin at 50 billion, and it may be for retail because if you're trading it in and out. And it's also, based on like high FTV, low flow, it's just like there's not that much supply currently circulating. So if you times the current price times FTV, you're freaking $50 billion, bro. That's not the demand. It's not the demand. The demand is like the circulating supply of current thing. But FTV absolutely matters for VCs because they're the ones holding the locked tokens. The vast majority of protocols today raising from decent VCs have 1 year cliff and the vest over together 36 months. Yeah, I get what they're saying. It's like FTV absolutely matters for VCs because they're the ones holding the locked tokens. And so if they are holding it, that means that whenever it's unlocked, that is the valuation in which that they're getting. But it's not really because you're about to dump hard. VCs should value assets as expected FTV in 3 to 4 years because that is a true reflection of what they could return to their LPs. But alas, that is not how the market is working. Yep, very true. I always want to click into what he's saying, but here. Okay, so what is the current paradigm I talk about? 1, launch token at high FTV, less than 20% tokens, so low float. No public token sale, large airdrop, which this kind of mechanism has kind of gone off the rails. Now it's kind of like very decentralized, like specific launches and all that stuff. Anyways, and now ICOs are back. Dimension is an example of this. 8 billion FTV out of the gate, 16% circulating, 9-figure airdrop. So yeah. Why is this happening? I think once airdrop paradigm started, this was a natural way to boost the money value of the airdrop without giving more tokens. And it boosts teams and VCs' ego. Yeah. So what they're saying is that you can give a higher amount of dollar value of an airdrop without giving more tokens because you are giving it out with like low, like you're artificially squeezing the price or artificially squeezing the supply to create demand for that shortage of supply, pumps the price. And so then people are like posting all over the timeline. They're like, oh, I made this much money or whatever. So it's also just like, doing that. But then, it boosts teams, VCs, and ego because they're like, oh, look at all my specific earnings. Not it's going to happen. Those VCs are going to be very shocked. Yes, VCs and teams could sell locked tokens, but I'm not sure there is that much demand for locked tokens, so not sure how widespread this is. This is the over-the-counter stuff. So like, hey, like if a token is like really down bad or like up good, like you can just like sell at a discounted rate and they can get that off their locked tokens off of books and like net it, right? It's not always how these projects launch. Most of the dominance L1s today, sub 1 billion FTV out of the gate, similar-ish unlocks, but generally faster vesting, which means that they just like, they get the tokens faster. So you get to fully diluted faster. Retail could buy at relatively low prices, so lower than 500 FTV. That was like the whole issue. That's kind of coming back with like the pumped up funds and like DEXs and all that stuff that people can buy it at a low value. It's just like no one has loyalty anymore. So yeah, let's look at near 20% circulating, whatever. Shazan, I want to get to yours and then we can talk me and you on it. Dude, Shazan, you should come up. We can figure out on Discord. We can just talk to each other. So had 20% circulating out of the gate, but 75% circulating within 1 year. So you get the speed in which that circulating supply happens also reduces the price in which that people and loyal to members can also like have and seep throughout all of it. But 300 to 500 million FTV out of the gate, you could buy Sol below $5 for many months. So that's one thing, is like you want this kind of trajectory of like being able to have these troughs in which that people are able to buy as like a community and a loyal community, right? And no one has like really like nailed that for like NFTs, because everybody like batches all of them. The only one that I guess like kind of does it is like NowNDAO, that like totally do that. But like if you can figure out a way in which that like you can reward members as like the community grows and all that stuff, like I think that's like, I think games are very much possible to do this. But anyways, okay, this is where we're kind of landing the plane of where we want it to go. So like Link went out a few 100 million FTV and generally traded below 1 billion FTV for its first 18 months live. These tokens all have strong communities and a solid base of token holders who have relatively low cost basis. What are these fabled crypto communities we always talk about? In my humble opinion, community means making money with your internet friends. This is it. This is it. This is the first principle in which that CK was talking about as well. And also kind of what Tony was talking about too. It's like these tokens all have strong communities and a solid base of token holders who have relatively low cost basis. What are these fabled crypto communities we talk about? In my humble opinion, which I agree, and I think CK agrees as well too, community means making money with your internet friends. How you make that money, you know, it doesn't matter. These are very few strong communities in crypto where the community has not made. There are very few strong communities in crypto where the community has not made money. The OG Link Marines had over a year to accumulate Link below $1, and where Link is $5 or $15, they're in the black and will absolutely go to bat for Sergey. Think back to ICP chart. And also, this is why I think Ronin will always be a very strong community, because there's so many people in the black, right? And so if you're looking at it from like a strategy of like crypto Twitter, and this is also like where football.fun did right well too, and they've like built on top of it, is that like you have like these very strong communities that have made money off of like you just have a longer tail for that specific one. So like that's why communities are built in bear. So you have like an opportunity to be able to do that, right? So I just think that's like really cool. And so OG Link Marines went over a year to accumulate. I also think that's why like Mythic Axes and all those guys too, they're so in the black that they'll always go to bat for Ronin. It's like, oh yeah, they kind of have like this feel of like reciprocity that needs to be done. Shasan, you're saying, Ninja saying, I'm confused. Yeah, probably a lot of people are confused off of that stuff. Shasan saying 20% in 2025 still left. Believe in the 80-20 rule could be the most impactful part of the year. And then I'm confused. So many people lost a bunch with locked jewel in 2021 gaming boom. And then only hype nailed the airdrop. Up only price action, best marketing. Yeah, strong core community rewarded, making vocal supporters in top tier products, strong fundamentals ultimately, and trustworthy team. Yeah, that is the concoction, which San just said there, is up only price action, best marketing. Which kind of like, dude, it's so like hard. Like it's like up only price action is like you're buying back a whole bunch of tokens, and then that like in some capacity that is like what you're having to do is like always buy it up to be able to have like, you know, revenue and all that stuff, which is totally fine. Strong core community rewarded, so making vocal supporters. So like you get them early and then be able to do that. Like that's the one issue that we had like with Wolf and Wolves. Like if I'm just being completely honest, is like, you know, I wanted to reward the community, but it didn't, you know, which then like it was a double-edged sword. A lot of people like left Wolves off of like the launch of Wolf. And I'm very honest and transparent about that. And it's something that I wish was different, unfortunately. But, you know, sometimes you take risks and sometimes you strike out. But still, we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on building. And then strong core, and then top tier product, strong fundamentals, and ultimately, yeah, I think when it comes to us, like we did things in a different order, and you know, top tier product is what we're going to be focusing on now, and throughout 2026, well, rest of 2025 and 2026. and then trustworthy team. I think we do have that. I still think we have trust from people, and we've been here for a long time. And as I could strike out, but I'm still having another at bat. Not cut from the team is what I think. So, all right, guys, but that's it. I love you all. You guys are the freaking best for hanging out. Doug Hype in the building. Shasan, thank you guys. All of you guys. You guys are amazing people. And I love to do life with